Now you can hear my voice. Welcome to the public participation part of our April 6th County Council meeting. And for those of you that have filled out a card, you will have 3 minutes to tell us what's on your mind on any item that is not on the printed agenda. And our first speaker is Pat Northey. And when you come forward, if you would, state your name and address for the record.
Good morning, everybody. Pat Northey, 2310 Carson Lane, Deltona, Florida. And I'll make my comments really quick. I'm going to speak really quick. Thank you for what you do. In 2014, 73% of Volusia voters voted to approve Amendment 1 to acquire and manage public lands for conservation and recreation. Amendment 1 passed as a statewide measure with close to 75% of the voters approving it. Our request to you today is to adopt as part of your agenda for the day a resolution requesting the state legislature to fulfill its obligation to provide significant funding for the acquisition of conservation lands and conservation easements in the 2017-18 budget for us as called for in the Amendment 1 language. The state of Florida and Volusia County have a long history of preservation of land for environmental and conservation purposes, going back to 1963 when the state acquired Tomoka State Park, one of the first in Florida. In 72, the state's Environmentally Endangered Lands Program funded Tiger Bay State Forest, Blue Springs, Leon Springs, and Huntoon Island. In 1979, the Conservation and Recreation Program, CARL, added 181,000 acres of conservation land statewide, including additions to Tomoka State Park, Blue Springs State Park, and DeLeon Springs. In 86, Volusia County became the first county in the United States where voters approved a bond issue to support acquisition of environmentally sensitive lands. That program was worth $20 million. In 1990, the legislature, because of development pressure, began an aggressive program to acquire public lands for environmental and recreation purposes. P2000 protected 1.8 million acres, including Spruce Creek Preserve right here in Volusia County. 2000, the Florida Forever program purchased over 700,000 acres, including over 12,000 in the center of the county known as Longleaf Pine Preserve. That was also the year that Volusia voters approved another bond issue for the Volusia Forever program, expected to raise $80 million over 20 years. A major acquisition of that initiative includes the 8,000-acre Leffler property, now known as Deep Creek, an important part of our central core and inventory and future water supply for the county. With these two programs, Florida Forever and Volusia Forever, Volusia began the work of establishing the Volusia Conservation Corridor through the center of the county. In 2001, the 79,000-acre corridor was placed on the acquisition list. With approximately 61,000 acres now in conservation, we have about 18,300 left to acquire. Close, but no cigar. Amendment $1 could make the difference. Please consider this resolution to request the Florida legislature to increase funding for conservation lands and easements. I have left you with my talking points. I have left you with a copy of a proposed resolution. And just yesterday, my favorite governor, Governor Graham, had a letter, or had a My Word in the News Journal talking about the same thing. We need your help. We need it today because next 2 weeks is too late. They're working on their budget now. There is no dollars associated with this, so there's no dollars that we're asking for you. We're just asking for a resolution of support to take some of those dollars and put it towards conservation easements and conservation purchase.
Thank you, Pat.
I have 2 seconds left. Thank you.
David Hartgrove. David.
Morning. That's a tough act to follow. My name is David Hartgrove, 113 Centennial Lane, Daytona Beach, Florida. I'm the Conservation Chair for Halifax River Audubon. As Pat alluded, former Governor and U.S. Senator Bob Graham's opinion piece in yesterday's Daytona Beach News Journal was right on the money when he chided the state legislature for willfully ignoring the expressed wishes of voters by not fully funding Florida Forever. Within 8 short years, Florida's population is predicted to reach 21.5 million people. In spite of comments by some legislators that we already have too much land tied up in conservation, the reality is that we need more land set aside for these new millions of people coming to Florida. People need to have a place to get away and recharge their emotional batteries. A bike ride along Gemini Springs Trail or a winter morning watching migratory ducks in the Halifax River from Seabridge Riverfront Park is guaranteed to leave you feeling better, able to deal with the stresses of daily life. The scientifically proven benefits of conservation lands for wildlife habitat, freshwater recharge, and the quality of life for all of us is clear to see. 75% of the state's voters approved Amendment 1 in 2014. It's time for the legislature to put their big boy pants on and fully honor the will of the voters. The resolution we're asking you to endorse will be a graphic reminder to the legislature that we all expect them to abide by their oath to the state constitution and to the voters of this state. Please add this item to today's agenda and vote unanimously for its passage. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Stephen Kittner. Stephen?
Good morning. How's everyone doing today? I'm Stephen Kittner. I'm Conservation Chair for West Volusia Audubon. In a way of 2412 Oxford Road, DeLand, Florida. In the way of an introduction, I was the county's Environmental Management Director for over 20 years. I was also, for a short period of time, your Growth and Resource Management Director. After retiring, I've served on the County Smart Growth Advisory Committee, and most recently I was the chair of that committee. I've also been a very active volunteer at the county's Lionia Environmental Center. Some of you have seen me there. So I am here today representing Audubon. You have heard from Pat Northey talking about the county and the state's long history of support for protecting environmental sensitive lands, and the county desire to protect the environmental corridor. From David Hartgrove, you heard about how a growing population in Florida makes it critical that we protect conservation land to mitigate the impact from that growth, to protect recharge to our aquifer, to cleanse the runoff that results from that growth. We're here today to request the County Council adopt a resolution requesting that the state legislature significantly increase funding for the acquisition and conservation lands and conservation easements in the 2017-2018 budget. We also request Council affirm that acquisition, protection, and management of environmental sensitive lands is a crucial public benefit to the future of the county and the state of Florida. We did send that draft resolution for you. I also suggest the county task your lobbyist to work with the state to implement these objectives. Taking this action costs the county nothing, does not obligate the county to anything, but should the state significantly increase funding, it will open up opportunities for the county, which we do not currently have. It is not just environmental groups that are asking this. People always say to me, well, it's just you environmental folks that want this, but some of the largest landowners in the county, representing over 1 million acres of land, the Florida Conservation Group, is encouraging the state to increase funding, as is the Forestry Association. These large landowners understand how important to Florida's future it is that we protect the open space of the state. With that being said, I look forward to working with you to obtain increased funding for acquisition of conservation lands and conservation easements. So thank you for your time and support, and I'm 40 seconds early.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you all very much.
M. Lynn Peterson.
Good morning. My name is Lynn Peterson. I live at...
Drop the mic down just a little bit. There, so or try to stand as close to him as you can.
Good morning. My name is Lynn Peterson. I live at 430 North Colorado Avenue in DeLand. I'm here today to ask that our county council adopt a resolution requesting that the state legislature increase funding for the acquisition, protection, and management of sensitive lands, and in particular for Volusia County. No one can live without drinkable water, and government efforts must be made to secure our Florida water for all of us, and I don't mean just humans. I mean every critter here, and we all depend on those critters. And though it is this protecting our water is a multifaceted problem, this resolution would support a huge management tool that is valuable and effective. I went to the Constitution Revision Commission last week and spoke on this same thing. I worked many weekends for a year to collect signatures for Amendment 1, and it's a huge disappointment that the legislature so perverted the use of that money. So I'm asking you, again, to support this resolution and all that Ms. Northey said. She said it so well. So I thank you, and I hope you will do this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dan Friedman.
Good morning, council members. My name is Don Friedman, resident of Volusia County for 6 years, live in LPGA. Please bear with me because I've never made a public address like this my whole life. I would like to express my concern regarding ECHO Grant number 14-10 for the Humane Society Dog Park. Information obtained through public record request shows, 1, an invoice of $17,000 paid with ECHO Grant funds for boarding and grooming building design, which is a for-profit business. 2, invoices totaling $78,800 paid for design, architect, and permits for a dog park, $78,800. 3, a total of $58,400 paid for contractor profit for a dog park. 4, on page 11 of the application guide, item number 5, excuse me, states projects whose owner's tenant, the applicant, does not provide ECHO-related services as their main mission are ineligible. As we know, ECHO grants are very specific about how our taxpayer money may be used. Excuse me. Being a nonprofit charity brings obligations and responsibilities for the board of directors and CEO. These include ethical duties, honesty and faithfulness, operating in accordance with its mission and the purpose for which it was granted tax-exempt status, and safeguarding public trust. The current mission statement, as listed in their Florida Department of Agricultural license for solicitation and on the IRS filing, is, and I quote, exists to protect animals from cruel, neglectful, and exploitative treatment. There are also contractual obligations regarding contracts with cities and municipalities for the animal services they provide. This public dog park was combined with a reimagining and construction campaign. And while a dog park can be very beneficial to any community, this grant should be reviewed for its appropriate use of funds and its compliance with ECHO guidelines. Thank you for your concern looking into this matter, and I will be happy to share my findings with the ECHO officials for the review and ask to hear their determinations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rhonda Evans.
Good morning. Is that good? I own a piece of property in Corbin Park in New Smyrna Beach. 20 plus years ago, they paved the roads and brought in city water. Long after that, I purchased the property on a tax deed. To my surprise, there was assessments. At this point, the assessments are well over what the property is valued at, and I'm asking for the interest to be waived so that I can pay the assessments off. The assessments came on in 1994, so many, many, many years ago. I have there's two properties side by side. One's only valued at $170 because it's 100% wetlands, and there's over $25,000 worth of assessments. A little ridiculous. Anyway, I have the paperwork here to give to you, and everyone in the county says it's not my responsibility, so I was advised to come here by the manager of accounting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question briefly? Just briefly.
Sure.
You're going to leave that there. Just leave copies. Mr. Rechtenwald, we'll talk later about this. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
The next one is Sarah Arlenes. Sarah? Sarah, is any Sarah? It's Nels. I can't read. I don't have my glasses. Here they are. Well, that didn't help a lot. But,
No, it doesn't.
Nelmies?
Yes.
Sorry. Look like an A.
It's okay. Hello, Mr. Chair and honorable members of County Council. My name is Sarah Nelms, and my address is 520 North Woodland Boulevard, DeLand, Florida, 32720. Thank you and the County Council for your leadership role in water quality initiatives. For many years, the Council has diligently worked for clean water in the county. In 2014, the Council held a water workshop with all local city governments at the Ocean Center to share information about ongoing water projects and to promote cooperation between city, county, and state agencies to realize measurable and sustainable improvements in water quality. After the workshop, the County Council adopted a water quality resolution where you established the following 8 goals to improve water quality in Volusia County. Promote clean water initiatives within all priority surface waters in the county, including the Tomoka River, Halifax River, Spruce Creek, Indian River/Mosquito Lagoons, St. Johns River, Blue Spring, and Gemini Springs. Eliminate the discharge of all treated wastewater to surface water bodies. Identify water quality capital projects and commit funding. Develop and implement reasonable assurance plans for priority surface waters that have not been declared impaired. Aggressively promote springs water quality restoration. Adopt policies to support and implement the elimination of septic systems within priority watersheds. Improve stormwater conveyance and treatment systems to reduce nutrient pollution. And fully support and participate in meaningful education and outreach programs to inform citizens about water quality. Thank you for scheduling another workshop this spring to continue education and promotion of clean water that was pledged back in 2014. Thank you also for supporting important projects such as the Indian River Lagoon Council, Project H2O, and the Be Floridian Now campaign. We ask for your continued support as we strive to improve our local waters that provide health, economic, and recreational benefits. Thank you.
Thank you. Alexa Fordham.
Okay. Hello. All right. Good morning, Mr. Chair and honorable members of the County Council. My name is Alexa Fortuna. My address is 121 Cinnamon Oak Drive in DeLand, Florida. I would like to start off by thanking you all for your continuous support for water quality in Volusia County, and more specifically, the Indian River Lagoon. As a Stetson student that is relatively new to DeLand, I find myself being constantly blown away by the involvement and the support of the environment that the Volusia County Council offers. Being trained in water quality testing recently has opened my eyes to the necessity of clean water for people, plants, and animals alike. Project H2O is an initiative for clean water that partners with local universities, nonprofit organizations, and the community to protect and preserve our springs, rivers, and oceans. This year, Project H2O has focused on the health and the condition of the Indian River Lagoon, which is the most biologically diverse estuary in North America. The total economic value of the lagoon is over $7 billion annually. That is supporting the economy, fostering jobs, and enabling a cleaner environment for the recreational marine industry, commercial fisheries, and ecotourism. As many of you know, in recent years, there have been multiple algae blooms and fish kills throughout the region. Unified attention is the most sustainable way to finding a solution to this serious issue. Someone I look up to recently told me that we must be advocates for and the voice of the environment if we want change to occur. It is because of your continued support, leadership, and dedication that we can foster the promotion of clean water. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The next one up is Amy Campbell. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Amy Campbell, 121 South Levitt in Orange City. And mine will be very brief. I'm here to support the amendment which was introduced by Pat Northey, and for all the reasons that Steve Kinter elucidated. So just wanted to show up and tell you how important I think that is.
Thank you so much.
you.
Our next one is going to be Willie Barnes. Darla, where are you? Mr. Chair's coming out here. Mr. Barnes, as you come up to the microphone, the time is actually very good. I'm going to step away. I have some handouts. This is a comment Mr. Chair referred to. Our assistant, Darla, is going to be passing out some handouts. So while you speak, what I wanted this group to have a copy of was the current homeless initiatives that is on the record with Hope Place, with our great contract with the City of DeLand and the success that they have enjoyed. and a smaller project in New Smyrna Beach for homeless high school students called Kudas Unhooked. And the front pages are homeless expenditures for the last 5-year totals that Volusia County has committed to, is committed to, and is working towards very successfully when we reach that unanimous decision, and looking forward to being very positive going forward. So this is the good news that I'm going to be sharing with you, and copies of the contracts are attached. So I'm going to step off the dais, pass these out, if I could have Darla help me, and just for your public information, so you can have it all in one place. And thank you for speaking. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
We have about 10 minutes left of public participation. So, and there are 3 of you that are speaking on the Faith Initiative. If you would want Dr. Phil to speak first, or in case we run out, because we will have to stop this, or you can come back at the end of the meeting. It's up to you, Mr. Barnes.
If he could join me, and I'll speak, and then I'll turn it over to him.
You still have a total of
Okay, I'll be very quick. Thank you so much. Good morning. My name is Willie Barnes. My address is 410 South Street in Daytona Beach, Florida. As we come before you today, I'm reminded of Dr. King's letter from a Birmingham jail. In it, he responds to a group of moderate clergy who challenge his tactics for being too confrontational, just like faith is sometimes accused of. He said, "Judgment of God is upon the church as never before. If today's church does not recapture the sacrificial spirit of the early church, it will lose its authenticity, forfeit the loyalty of millions, and be dismissed as an irrelevant social club with no meaning for the 20th century. We are here this morning because we are continuing the prophetic legacy of the civil rights movement. Not only should the church provide mercy to the poor and oppressed, but also stand up for what is just and stand up for what is right. I want to publicly say that us organizing for a homeless shelter is no personal attack against anyone on this council. And for those who feel attacked, we want to say that is not our intention. We expect to achieve our goals through respect and through mutual agreement. This, what in fact, is democracy in action, and we should be proud to live in a community and a society that allows for that. I wouldn't be able to stand before you today voicing my concerns as a citizen if the leaders of the civil rights movement had not done exactly what I am doing on behalf of the homeless. Therefore, because we're exercising our rights, we will not go away, because we want to see a centralized homeless assistance center with emergency shelter and case management in our county. Already, so we have supporters that include Halifax Hospital, Catholic Charities, Sheriff Chitwood, our state attorney, defense attorney, and mayor of Ormond Beach, Bill Partington, our public defender, Jim Purdy, and the list goes on. At the meeting that Commissioner Delgado held, he pointed out that it is not only a civil rights issue for the homeless, but also for everyone who lives in the community, for business owners who want to succeed and residents who safely want to enjoy our parks. It's the right thing to do, and I just want to urge each of you to really consider that going forward. Thank you so much for your time, and God bless.
Thank you. Father Phil.
Thank you, Reverend Willie Barnes, who is the co-chair of our faith organization. I am Father Phil Ejito from 201 University Boulevard, Daytona Beach, Florida. Good morning, Chair Kelly and all of our council members. I'd like to begin by thanking all of you for your service to our community. I'd like to also thank Heather Post, Joyce Cusack, and Billy Wheeler for your commitments at our Action Assembly. I would like to thank you, Chair Ed Kelly, for your leadership, especially as mayor of Ormond when you led your commission to allocate $100,000 for homelessness. This is a true legacy that we can leave our community. And since I'm a priest, I'd like us to pray. Good and gracious God, we gather together today to give you thanks and praise. In a special way, we gather today in gratitude for our elected officials who have given of themselves to serve our community. We ask your blessing on all of them as we move forward with a homeless assistance center. We have received commitments and are truly grateful because we know that when we help the least of our brothers and sisters, we are helping you. Lord God, we know that being an elected official is often a thankless job, but we are here today to show our gratitude for their work and efforts to move forward. We ask your blessing on them this day and your blessing on all of them in their next meeting when they will discuss and hopefully act further on the shelter. Lord God, we ask your special blessing on our chair, Ed Kelly, who has stepped forward to lead this effort. We ask your protection and guidance on him and on all our elected officials to make our county a county of justice and compassion for everyone. As this project continues to move forward, we ask for strength. Standing up for what is right is not always easy. Please continue to bless our Volusia County Council and the citizens they represent. In God's name we pray. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Reverend Laura Berg, you are ready to go.
Thank you, yes. My name is Reverend Laura Berg. I serve as Minister of Congregational Care at Coronado Community United Methodist Church in New Smyrna Beach. I'm a resident of 205 Rankin Drive, Edgewater, Florida, 32141. My husband Ward and I have resided in Volusia County for over 35 years. We have a strong passion for our brothers and sisters of Volusia County who have remained hopeless, those of the least, the last, and the lost. Today, I thank you for the privilege of coming before you, and I speak on behalf of the Faith Organization and on behalf of our homeless. In reference to the quote Council Member Deb Denny's made in this week's News Journal article, I wanted to clarify a few things about faith and our relationship to the homeless crisis. All faith congregations provide services to the homeless: housing, food, emergency shelter, clothing, etc. Those of us as individuals even try to do the same. Just as my church is made up of individual Christians, faith is made up of individual citizens who all have the right to demand that their government represent them. As Christians, we are also called to demand that public policy looks out for the least of these. We stand up for the most vulnerable in our community, and we stand up for ourselves through this faith organization. Faith members pay taxes. My congregants pay taxes. Ward and I pay taxes. We all pay taxes, and we have the right to ask you how the tax dollars will be used because we elected you to represent all of us. You're right, federal funding sources are fickle. HUD is being cut $6 billion by federal government, all the more reason for our local governments to step up. We can't be fiscal conservatives if we continue to drain millions of tax dollars a year on perpetually jailing the homeless when we could actually help them for a lower cost. And finally, in regards to our Action Assembly, both the News Journal and Councilwoman Deb Denny's allege faith members booed at public officials during our Action Assembly. This is untrue of that Action Assembly, as I was there. As a Christian, I would not be a part of an organization that allowed anything but utmost respect for public officials. But I am a human with human conditions. And I am aware that when we are passionate about something, at times, we say things that are harmful to one another. So I make, on behalf of the faith organization, or maybe even of our council, if we have said words or acted in ways that have harmed one another,
Thank you.
Let's get back on the same page.
Thank you. That's your 3 minutes is up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
That's all the cards I have. We have 1 minute left, and we start the next meeting. So anyone who wishes to speak can remain and speak at the end of the meeting. But thank all of you for coming out and sharing your thoughts with us today. Good morning. I'll put it up, and I'll have it here to you Monday. It'll be up on time. Thank you.
Now, it's meeting next Tuesday, right? I haven't been, I need to go there. I got it on my calendar.
Good morning. How you doing? Okay, these are done.
The pastor has shown up, so he is here, the one that's in.
Who?
The pastor that you have in here.
Good morning. How you doing?
I just wanted you to know he's here. Morris Sicko Sullivan. Do you need anything else from me?
All I need to do is find out. That must be from T.
Yes. How many do you have?
3.
You know, we have enough time. That way the council can still work, because you like them to move forward.
man,
So what you could say is, okay, with the council, people speak on T now.
Right.
And then you can take the comments, and then you can still vote.
Okay, that's what I was.
One way to do it. Orange City, is that you approve all the ones where there's no comments.
Right.
Hold T,
I'm glad you're feeling
let them
better
speak,
now.
and then revote on T. That might be easier.
I'm good.
I'm on. Good evening. Seems like it's evening already, right? It is 9:02, and we'll call the meeting to order. And at this time, we will have the invocation given by Morris Sullivan.
Morning, and thank you for having me here with you this morning. If you'll take a moment to bow your head and close your eyes, or otherwise look into your heart, invoking respectful awareness of our spiritual teachers, and with our minds set on peace, we offer our service this morning. May our work here bring light to our world, to our community, and into our hearts. This work may not always be easy. Reminds me of an ancient Buddhist story about an elephant that one day went into a pond to drink and became mired in the mud. The king heard about this and sent the elephant trainer to help. Knowing the elephant was very powerful and fearless in battle, the trainer brought musicians to the pond and had them play a battle song. Hearing the music, the elephant's spirits rose. He pulled with all his might and was soon out of the mud. If we grow lax in mindfulness, patience, and compassion, we can easily become mired in the petty concerns of pride and greed and resentment. But when we open our hearts to the song of wisdom, we can pull ourselves free with the power of friendliness, courage, and peacefulness. So as we go forward today, may we be resolved on this mindfulness. May our actions of body, speech, and mind be peaceful, friendly, and courageous. May we recall that our time and attention are our most valuable gifts, and be generous with those gifts. With our neighbors and our natural environment always in our hearts, may we recall with gratitude the many ways we are supported by them, and in return, let us remember to support one another. We surround all people and other forms of life with the infinite light of wisdom and compassion. Particularly, we send forth loving thoughts to all those in suffering and sorrow, all those in doubt and confusion, and all those striving to attain spiritual peace. In my tradition, at the end of a prayer, we put our hands together in front of our hearts, uniting them into one gesture, just as many individuals act together as one community. You may join me in this if you like. Thank you for your attention. May it be so.
Let us stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chair, I'll bring up the thing with the boss. Okay. When we start right after the consent, before you get into the public hearing.
Bring it in then.
Yeah, so it'll be right before we do the public hearing, before you do number 2. Yeah, if you give it to me, I'll introduce him and tell about the letter we got on the Hard Rock.
Okay. Can I have the roll call, please?
Joyce Cusack. Not present. Mrs. Denny's.
Here.
Mr. Lowry.
Here.
Mr. Patterson.
Here.
Mrs. Post.
Here.
Mrs. Wheeler.
Here.
And Mr. Kelly.
Here. We have a situation on the, any comments on the consent items from anyone at the dais?
I do, Ed.
I've got,
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Mr. Eckert?
On item T, I've distributed to you a corrected resolution which refers to phases 3A and 3B. Just to correct the record, the resolution that was distributed says phase 3A and 2B of the spring to spring trail, so it's a corrective item.
Okay, so that would be anyone who wanted to speak on T, it would be now.
If it's included as part of your resolution, it's approved. If it's included as part of your consent agenda or separately, we ask that the resolution reflect 3A and 3B as corrected.
Okay,
That
so
the approval be for the
is
corrected
T
version.
or 3A?
It's item T. The resolution that was distributed incorrectly refers to phase 3A and 2B.
Oh, okay.
Just a housekeeping.
So I've corrected there's the
Gotcha.
phases to 3A and 3B.
Gotcha. Mr. Patterson?
I was going to move approval of all the consent agenda items, including Mr. Ecker's comments.
Okay. Ms. Post, is there a second?
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Ms. Post?
There is, I just wanted to comment on Z. And Z is the second agreement with the St. John's River Water Management District for Blue Spring Water Supply and Quality Project to provide an extended term contract. Is Michael Ulrich in the room?
Come on up, Mike.
I just wanted to comment on this, and Mr. Ulrich has, and hopefully staff can extend on this a little bit better, but Mr. Ulrich has done an excellent job of partnering with St. John's Water Management and, for lack of better words, lobbying for us over and over and over. And I just wanted to say this is an excellent example of that, and I just wanted to commend you for that. And the number of times that I've been looking into the water issues, your name has come up over and over and over as being a true champion for Volusia County, so I just wanted to note that.
Thank you. It's a complete team effort.
I just would add that besides Mike, the obvious good things that he's achieved, that project is a direct result of what some of the people were mentioning earlier today and what we're going to review. And I think in the May meeting, the water quality plan that came out in 2015. So Mike's a guy who just grabbed onto that and used it as a weapon to get money for the county, and I appreciate that.
Good job, Mike.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming in this morning for that.
Just one quick note, Mr. Patterson and Mr. Lowry. We had a request from 3 people to speak on item T. So did your motion for the consent agenda exclude item T? didn't get that out quick enough.
I'll amend the motion to
Okay.
exclude those to item T.
Okay. Motion's been amended to reflect that. So all in favor of approving the consent agenda absent item T, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. The motion carries unanimously. And we need to read item T or not really?
What I would suggest is that we address the concerns that the three people have on item T, and then the council could decide if they want to vote on it at this step.
Okay. Marguerite Ardito?
Good morning. My name is Marguerite Ardito, and first let me say we do not want item T pulled from consent. We just want to support it and make a comment about it, and Sue has graciously, I can't speak as fast as Pat did, so my name is Marguerite Ardito. I live at 532 West Florence in DeLand, and I am the co-founder of the St. Johns River to Sea Loop Alliance. And what we wanted to say about item T is that we would like input into the process, and we're not the best. We're not sure of the best way to accomplish that. This, okay, next slide. Sue graciously agreed to present two really quick slides, and I know I have limited time here. But as you know, the St. Johns River to Sea Loop is a gift to Volusia County. It's going to pay dividends to all of us in terms of economic benefits, health benefits, and quality of life benefits for generations. And this gap that you're talking about in item T is what we consider one of the most critical gaps in the St. Johns River to Sea Loop, because it connects the beautiful sections of De Leon, DeLand, and Blue Springs to the DeBerry station and to the rest of the loop, and in fact to the Coast to Coast Trail. So it's very important to us. The thing with item T is that it's a long gap. It's about a 5-mile gap that's being addressed. And there's a very difference in the priority, in the criticality level. The first mile is the gap that we consider the most critical, and it's just about 20% of the entire gap. And so we would like to make sure that that gap gets addressed first when they go into the design phase. Okay. So next slide. So the beautiful Blue Spring Trail right now ends at a place they call Detroit Terrace. Right. And the trail then picks up at Donald E. Smith Boulevard, but there is no way to get from there except to go back to Blue Spring Avenue and go down 1792. It's the only way. There's no other roads through there. And so it is our desire that we be involved in the process of what gets done first and possibly expedite that 1-mile gap.
Okay, thank you. Well, I didn't think that you would be against accepting money for the design phase. And I would have hoped that you would not be against it, and at the design phase there will be public input and comments during that time. This actually isn't the time to discuss the design. Your points have been recognized, and stay involved, and as this goes through the design, there will be public notice made of that. So that would be a time also to weigh in on it. Okay?
All right.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Dr. Matt Schrager?
Hello. I just got here. My son is sick this morning, so I am relatively new to the St. Johns River to Sea Trail Alliance, but I feel very strongly and passionately about the project as a whole, and I feel that this particular gap, this portion of the gap, that 3/4 mile area, as I drive by it, I worry about cycling on it. I've never tried it myself, But
Matt, you didn't give me your name and address. I'm sorry. I know you said you're new to this.
Yes.
State your name and address as well.
Sure. My name is Matthew Schrager, 1312 Greenland Trace, DeLand, 32720.
And you did hear the comment that this is for funding for the design phase, which there'll be time for comment then.
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
I didn't hear that.
So that's what actually we're not talking about the design. This is the funding money we're accepting from FDOT for the design phase of the trail.
Okay.
And at that time, there'll be public comments and public hearings to express what you feel toward that.
Okay.
And we understand now from this comment that you support it.
Yes.
And I think we all do too, so.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Kelsey? And if you have anything new to add other than what's been said and what you understand, that would be great.
Okay. I'm Kelsey Mishaley from Stetson University. I live at 100 East Ohio Avenue, and I'm a GIS intern representing the Loop. And I just, first of all, wanted to offer my support in all of this to keep us involved in the design phase. And then also, I think it is a big risk for cyclists. We've heard lots of cases of cyclists getting clipped by cars when they divert to 1792, and we just are really concerned about the cyclist safety, so we would like to stay involved in the design process.
Follow all the announcements as they go through the process. As you understand, this is just to accept the funding.
Yes.
So thank you very much for staying involved, and continue. Resolution, is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move approval of item T.
Is there a second?
An agenda item.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. The motion carries unanimously. We now move to item.
I'm sorry, who was the second?
Mr. Lowry.
Thank you.
And now we'll go to Mr. Deneen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We're going to deviate a little bit from the printed agenda. We have some news to bring forward. Mr. Rechtenwald will be delivering the letter that I've talked to the council that I just received. What this is, Mr. Chair, and members of the council, is a request that I am making on behalf of Mr. Abbas Abdul Hussein. He is the owner of the infamous Desert Inn, which is now going to become the famous Westin. He is requesting your consideration of a change in the original agreement. That change has to do with, it has some requested amendments. There are really two that are of substance. One is a change in the date, an extension of the time, and the other in terms of getting the completion of the project, and the other is a change in name. The letter you have, as you can see, I just received. This is obviously a very important subject to the council. Has to do with our agreement and the legislation that was passed that allowed that hotel to be built, where probably the thing most people remember is that the portion of beach behind the hotel where there was driving, those spots were reallocated. There was no driving hotel, and they were reallocated to a property that he provided next to the hotel. Part of that agreement required that, among other things, there's many things that he had to commit to. They were all spelled out very clearly. Two of them that are very distinct were the completion date, which had to be May 7th of 2017, and the other was the flag. Specifically, he agreed to be a Westin. What he's going to request is that we change that date from May 7th to the end of the year, which would be December 31st of 2017. I believe in all the material he has given me that I will be at a position where I can recommend the change in that date, because I think you will see by his information he will be making a presentation to you if you allow him on September 20th or April 20th. I think you'll find that everything he did was complete due diligence, and that those things that have stopped him from being able to complete the hotel on time based on the original agreement had to do with an act of God, which is Hurricane Matthew, together with maybe an act of man, which is the acquisition of Starwood Hotels by Marriott. He'll explain that. That also leads to a change in the flag. I'll let him tell you what that's going to be. With that, Mr. Abdul Hussein, would you like to step forward to the microphone and at least give them an overview of what you believe you need in terms of change?
And then what I would request is that you, if possible, you put this on for discussion on the agenda for April 20th, where he'll be able to come in and explain in more depth. At this point, I think all I think he needs to do at this point is to let them know what flag change that he's going to make.
Well, that'll be pretty easy. So when we started this project, given the level of investment that we were making, having something that was exclusive, that would bring something to Daytona that didn't exist was very important for us. That changed dramatically last year with the acquisition of Starwood. It became just another brand in a much bigger corporate conglomerate. So we worked hard, tried to find another brand, and I'm happy to announce today that we're going to be a Hard Rock instead. Thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, what he is requesting with his attorney is because you will need to pass an ordinance, and I'll let the county attorney explain this. He needs to know whether the council would allow him to schedule in front of them on April 20th. I will work with him on a time frame based on the discussions between you and I, Mr. Chair. Okay. But he needs to know whether that you will schedule that. That will give us ample time. We have to advertise. It is, an important change in the ordinance that was passed. But I think, as I've said to you, I believe I can give you a recommendation based on everything I've learned that you should grant this. But he also will make the presentation formally to you.
Ms. Dennis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I can remember this is the first time, I think the first answer was no. 2 years ago?
Yes.
2.5 years ago?
2.5.
We were here. And things have been renegotiated. This is good for all parties concerned. It's good for Volusia County. It's good for development. It's good for investment. We got to yes, but there were first a couple no's along the way. So, and council was very uncomfortable. It was disappointing. It was. It was. But I thank you for hanging in there and working with us and bringing back a better project than probably you even imagined at the beginning. And we're very fortunate that you have continued to work with Volusia County. Thank you to the staff. So with that, I'm going to make the motion to bring up. We need a motion, Mr. Chair, to approve the.
Bring it back.
Bring it back April 20th.
So that you can put it on the agenda.
On the agenda.
We can advertise, and then you can give it due consideration to pass new legislation.
Certainly.
I will second that motion.
Jamie?
Yeah, let me make it clear. It will be an ordinance amending ordinance 2015-07 to change the date of completion and to change the franchise name. And you're authorizing the legal department the authority to advertise for April 20th at a time certain.
And that's my motion. That's what I thought I said, but
I thought that's what you said.
what she said is my motion.
And what she said is my second.
Motion made by Ms. Dennis, seconded by Ms. Wheeler. I guess we could go ahead and all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Ms. Post.
I just wanted to say I had requested a copy of the original ordinance yesterday, so if I could get that. Do you have that?
I handed it out this morning, but I also emailed it to you yesterday at about 4 o'clock.
Okay.
Handed out to all the council members.
That's this one, Heather. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I'm looking. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. So I think that's great news. I think this is going to lead to something probably even better than what we thought was going to be, because I think the Hard Rock flag carries a different connotation than the Weston. And I think it's going to be, if you look around at the excitement that's generated in Hard Rock in general, and as I have said, my first experience with Hard Rock was 1978 at the original cafe in London. So very familiar with how it's grown back in the day when two American guys in London decided to start a Hard Rock cafe right off of Hyde Park. So it was a great place, and I think this is going to be fantastic. I think the community is going to be overwhelmed seeing that we have a destination, and this will fit right in plan with the ISB, East ISB corridor. I think this will give people, even though it's a little bit south of there, or as it may be, it's going to give people a destination to go, and the beauty that they will be able to go through once that's completed. They'll have a real nice an additional destination to go to, and who knows, maybe some more come along the way. So we're happy for that. I would like to just make a note when you're preparing this, that I know you set a deadline of December 31st. In light of what we experienced, if we have another hurricane, we hope not, or some kind of act of God that would cause a delay, I would like to not see this have to come back for an extension, if that could be worded into, that's just my personal thought, so that we're not delaying. If it's a week or two or something like that, we're on a drop dead notice to add that.
So noted. I'm sure the county attorney will look into whatever he can do.
Ms. Dennis. Okay, we need to take those off. Everybody's finished.
I am?
No, not, oh, you're not finished.
I wasn't asked to even talk.
Okay, so you didn't ask to talk.
I just had a short comment. That,
okay, sorry.
I'm very aware of the Hard Rock name. I've been at the one in Tijuana and the one in Orlando, and they were both excellent facilities, and I think it'll be a real great thing. And I don't want to, it's just going to be fantastic, and I think it's very important, considering all the local newspaper stories here about the beach side. This is something that could just get everything really going. I think it's an exciting day in Volusia County for that.
Absolutely. Mr. Ninian.
Mr. Chair, just one additional note. Should the idea of the boardwalk ever come to fruition, this is significant in the sense that we had hoped that we'd have the Hard Rock someday if we ever built a boardwalk on the boardwalk, but at best it would have been in a second phase. If we are able to pull this off, it will be actually in the first phase, which I think is significant, because I think it creates, as you and I talked, Mr. Chair, two anchors. You have the whole pier and the shops and Ritchie Plaza at one end, and now the Hard Rock and the other hotels at the other. If we were able to pull that off, I think it's a greater draw than it would have been.
Absolutely. Okay, we'll move on to item number 2. And Mr. Britton, I guess, is going to...
Jerry?
You have a motion? Is it open the public participation, public hearing? Staff report is Mr. Britton.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of council. I'm Jerry Brinton, county engineer. Before you is a request by petitioners in the West Highlands area to vacate an unopened 15-foot wide alleyway. It's unimproved. It hadn't been opened at all. They own, as you can see on the exhibit, they own lots to the north of the alleyway and to the south. Their home is on the south of the alleyway. And what they'd like to do is construct a detached garage, and our zoning, et cetera, doesn't allow you to put an improvement if it's separated by an alley. It has to be a combined lot. So what they want to do is they're requesting that you vacate that unopened platted alleyway, which staff believes will never have any public purpose for, so that they can then second step they'll do is combine the lots. Then they'll be able to proceed with construction of their detached garage.
Okay. Is any other comments? Is there a motion, Mr. Patterson?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I move approval of the vacation of portion of plat number 2 of West Highlands, map book 6, page 220, Orange City.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Wheeler. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. I know I forgot to do what I was supposed to do, Pat, but I did it that time. We'll move to item 3, and I guess Clay Irvin.
Good morning.
Prior to this, we did close the public hearing after that last vote, so.
Good morning, Clay Irvin, Growth and Resource Management Director. At the last meeting, you asked staff to go back and look at what we're doing right now from an informational perspective in regards to letting the public know about the hazards of feeding birds at the beach. The main concern was identified was the potential impact to the birds themselves. Also, changing the behavior of the birds themselves so they would become aggressive towards people. Also, the potential of nuisance that would be occurring because of the birds being fed out the beach. Staff from Coastal, Environmental Management, and Beach Safety went through and inventoried all of the signs and documentation that we hand out to the public. Included in your agenda packet on pages 3 through 314, I believe, is a summary of all of the signs and brochures that we have. I can quickly go through those just so you're aware of what we're doing and some of the changes we're proposing. First and foremost, we understand that feeding human food to birds is dangerous to the health of the birds themselves, as well as providing for potential changes and problems with their behavior. What you're seeing is that at all of our beach approaches and a majority of our pedestrian ramps, we have a variety of signage. This is the first one that we have. As you see, we say, do not feed or disturb wildlife. We understand that may cause some confusion. Folks may not think that birds are wildlife, so therefore, as these signs become dilapidated and need to be replaced, we will be working on a process of modifying the language so it's much more clear. Where we can, we will go ahead and have stickers made up so that way they can be placed on the signs so that it's clear that we're talking as well about birds as well as just in general wildlife. This is one sign that we have at Sunsplash Park. It's a little bit more elaborative, but it contains the same information. This one is much more specific and talks about feeding birds as well. This is a sign that we have throughout the beach ramps. Again, we're going to address the issue that at the bottom left corner, what you see is the universal no signal with no feeding wildlife. We're going to clarify that we also mean birds. This is a sign that's been placed in the driveway or travel lane of the beach. We will continue to utilize that, and as a matter of fact, we've got additional signs, and we'll be placing them at strategic places where we had identified bird feedings occur. Again, this is a brochure that's handed out at the beach as well as incorporated in some of our educational programs at the Marine Science Center and other facilities. This is the Echo News brochure. This is left also at all of the hotels and condo associations along the beach. We do make an outreach to all of our commercial partners along the beach to make sure they understand what is involved with not only feeding birds but other environmental issues at the beach. This is the one that's handed out at the toll booth. This, again, is going to be modified as we run out of them. We are trying not to do any additional cost that will impact everyone's budgets. We're trying to do this as we run out of the brochures. They will be modified. If we have the ability to place stickers in there at a lower cost, we're going to be doing that as well. Same situation. We have a brochure which, again, identifies wildlife. We are also talking about birds in those situations. This brochure is, this is off of our website on the environmental management. So if anyone is clicking along the volusia.org website, goes to environmental management, this will pop up. We also realize that in addition to signs, sometimes folks just blow by them, so it's going to be necessary for a human element. We are trying to work with amongst the 3 divisions that are out there on the beach on a regular basis to make sure that all of our staff are aware that it's best to educate people and to provide them with information. So we've prepared a script that will be distributed to beach safety, coastal, and environmental management staff so that way as they observe someone who may be out there feeding the birds, we can go up there and utilize that as a learning moment so that way the folks understand that even though they may think they're helping the birds out, we're actually creating more of a hazard for them. So in your packet, you'll see the language that we've drafted and will be sent out to all of the staff who are involved with that, so that way we can also go beyond just putting the signs out, go beyond just putting the things in the hotels and condos, going beyond our website so that way there's more of a human connection and we can hopefully make sure the public are aware of what's the impacts of what they're doing.
Mr. Chair, in addition, with that comment from with our beach safety officers, is that what we're going to do is encourage the public also, because we know what happens. If you happen to see this and say you live there or you're in the beach, we are going to encourage you to contact us, and we will try to have a safety officer talk to the person then to explain them. So if there's someone doing a mass feeding and you know what's going on, If they let us know, we'll try to send somebody over there to explain to them that they may be harming the birds instead of helping them.
And again, the one thing that we from staff drew from y'all's comments last meeting was that it's important to do this education first, because we can go up and talk to the child who has the sandwich and is out there thinking he's helping it out, rather than sitting there and ruining his day at the beach by going up there and having to write a citation. So we're hopefully being able to go forward in a much more indirect method of making sure folks understand the importance of not feeding the birds.
Ms. Post.
I'd like you to clarify the funding that we're putting into this, that it's, I just want to point out that it's very minimal and explain the process that we're using, the brochures that we already have, the signs that we already have, and any future. If you
Yes, ma'am. We heard loud and clear we don't want to see a major expenditure in this effort, so what we're doing is we're going to, as we run out of the brochures, as we change out the signs, we will make sure the wording is corrected. If we have the capabilities of putting stickers on there with revised language, we will do so. We want to make sure that we're conscientious about the costs. Where we have a lack of signs, we will be adding those signs, but those are signs that we have to put out anyway, because as you can see, they serve multiple purposes. Many of the informational brochures, please remember, are tied to our incidental take permit. So we have to make sure those who are driving on the beach are aware of the issues with environmental impacts of driving on the beach. So we have to do this anyway. So it's all part of our process, and so what we will do is modify those documents so it's much more clear as that we're talking about birds in addition to wildlife.
If you can, yeah. Ms. Wheeler.
I just want to thank you for all your work on this. I know it has been very controversial, to say the least, but I am hoping that we can move forward with this educational process, and hopefully this will give people enough education as to know that this is unacceptable, and it's not a good thing for the birds as well as the people around when they're doing that. And again, this is directed at a few people that happen to abuse the right to do things like that. It's not the little child dropping the Cheeto. It's the guy that continuously goes to the bakery every day and gets the dried up bread and goes out there and feeds it. I don't know what exactly this is taking, but I would like to move forward with this educational process.
Is that a motion?
I would like to present a motion that we would direct staff to continue the educational process and all the things that you spoke of doing as the other signs and flyers run out, that we put in these new things, and let's give it a shot and hope people will educate themselves and comply with this.
Is there a second?
Second.
His motion is made and second. Any further discussion? Any opposition to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you. We move to item 4. It's a resolution adopting amended and restricted travel policy.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Oh, there you are. You're not up here. Can't speak. Oh, go ahead.
Good morning. I'm Donna DePeister, CFO, Deputy County Manager. What you have before you today is a resolution along with the amended travel regulations that we crafted along with the County Attorney's Office, so that we're able to kind of incorporate some wishes that you all had last council meeting regarding county council travel. We kind of memorialize some of the past practices that have gone on over the last number of years, and trying to put that down in writing so that you can have something, that a guideline to go by. So let me just walk through a couple of the changes, if you don't mind. What I'd like to do is the first thing that we had suggested in our proposed regulation changes is that when county council travels overnight, when they travel overnight, we ask that the county council get permission from the county council member get permission from the county council, especially if they have prior notice, before they travel. The exception to that, though, is if during legislative sessions. As you know, things move fast and furiously during legislative time. So in those instances where you have to travel to Tallahassee, that may require an overnight stay. We just ask that you notify the county manager of that so that we know that you're out on travel on a official county business. The other one was if we have day trips. In those cases, you don't have to get necessarily permission from county council. You just notify the county manager that you're going. Again, the exception to that would be if you're already assigned to a board that you've been appointed to, or you volunteered for a board that county council had approved that you be a participant of and representing the council. You don't really have to give us notification of those things too, either. So those are just a couple of things that we had put in there. We actually created a section that enumerates all those points. We also added a couple of other clarifications in the travel policy. We thought this was an opportunity, since we opened up those travel policies, to clarify some things. What we did is we went ahead and pegged the inter-county mileage reimbursement rate, which is what county employees, if they're using their personal vehicles to travel on county business within the county boundaries, we've pegged that to the IRS established rate. Right now it's at 51 cents. IRS rate is, I think, 53 cents. So that way it moves along with when the IRS changes either upward or downward. I've been around when they've actually lowered that rate, and it stays in line with those. We also clarified a couple of other things. As you know, airlines have changed the way that they do business. We've trying to stay ahead of that game is kind of challenging. Everything used to be included in the ticket. Now it's not. Your seat assignment sometimes isn't. Your baggage isn't. Some do, some don't, whatever, back and forth. So we clarified that those things that are kind of tied to that trip relating to the airlines would be allowable, such as a seat assignment or a bag charge. We also changed clarifying how we compute travel time when you're away on county business for the county employees to be in line with some of the labor standards. So we just did some clarifications and cleaned up some things that we thought were needed at that time.
Ms. Wheeler.
Oh, that didn't go off from the last time. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Ms. Denny's.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm glad those changes were made. Council members, when I took a look at this and was talking with staff about this on Monday, I just thought it was a little redundant that council had to get permission or at least report when we were appointed to certain boards and conducting the normal day-to-day business of what we were elected and or appointed to do. So, and I think to be clear, the manager's not approving what this council does. We're just going on the record for legal purposes and to be covered. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
That's a fair statement.
Okay, because I don't want this council, especially this council, hands to be tied to move about the county or the state or to conduct business on behalf of the county. And the new word is region. There's regional approaches. We've got the Central Florida Regional, the East Central Florida Regional Planning Council, Indian River Lagoon Council. Everything is regional, meaning it's 4 or 5 county area. And that's going to be happening more and more. Just got an email from FDOT. Looks like they're going to be changing our position. We may be losing our DeLand office. That's going to be Pat. It's going to be a game changer here. We're not allowed to use that word. Sorry, News Journal. But that's going to increase travel for those of us that work on transportation issues and the Transportation Planning Organization. So I want to be really clear with the council that I don't want this to be restrictive to what we do in representing our constituents or the county. I want freedom, literally freedom to move about, to represent what we do. So that's why we had the adjustment. We changed it so that anything that we're appointed or whatever to do that goes without saying. And legally, Mr. Eckert, I want to ask you this. I don't know, I can't speak for the rest of my colleagues, but my calendar is public, very public. All of our calendars are public with what we have. So if I have a meeting on my calendar saying I'm going to Satellite Beach for the Indian River Lagoon regional council meeting. Whether that's reported or not, it's assumed I'm on county business. Isn't that true?
Yes, ma'am.
So there's really not a legal issue, is there? I mean, I would assume my public calendar is a form of reporting. Can we say that's true?
Well, that's an administrative aspect. Yes, ma'am. I think that the notion here was that that's not true of in every circumstance. That your trips are always on your calendar. So you're just advising so that they can pay the bill, and that it's clear that if you're in an accident, that you're acting on county business.
I understand, but my point is, if it's on our calendar, it's a form of reporting, whether council members choose to or do not. But if it's on our calendar, it's a form of public reporting, because I know the concern was, are we covered legally if there's a car accident or whatever? That's a fair concern. But I don't want to make this a bigger issue than it should be, and I have no problem stating where we're going ahead of time, but at the same time, I don't want that in any way to think that the manager has to approve anything this council does. And I want to be clear that this policy includes county employees too?
Absolutely.
And the manager?
Absolutely.
So it's a fair playing field. All the reporting, this is all done the same way. It's not exclusive.
And just so we're real clear on the matter, this isn't a new travel policy. This is an amendment to the existing policies that have morphed over the 30-plus years I've been here at the county. We've always had a policy.
That's all I have.
And I think the important part is that we're not asking the county manager. We're letting him know, making him aware, so it's not seeking permission. So I think that's the important part that we all need to understand and accept. But it's only good practice that we know. And in light of getting permission or approval or letting the rest of the council know, it's just a way of like you said, legally protecting ourselves. Mr. Patterson.
I have a question, and I guess it goes back to quite a few years ago when there was a big row over the fact that the county council went on a NACO conference, which was held in Hawaii. Well, but I thought the policy then was that the only one that was going to be going to any NACO conferences was going to be the county chair. Is that still in effect? Because I remember that's what came out of that.
Well, we didn't write it down, so.
But I thought that was the decision of the county council back then. I mean,
Honestly,
I don't
remember.
go to NACO because to me it's an utter waste of time because it's just more of the same, and you could read it in the newspaper or in their monthly bulletins they send out. But
well, you can go in my place if I have to go.
no, I don't want to go in your place.
That wasn't the point.
My point of it is it's just that I just don't want another council members going and then finding out that hey, council members aren't supposed to be going. That's all.
Well, we certainly can review your policy. I don't have a recollection of council of adopting a specific policy, but the overnight stay will the action by the county council will certainly prompt a discussion saying, well, I didn't realize that you were going. How many should we send to this conference or the like?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have a specific recollection of that, Mr. Patterson, and I don't want to trust my faded memory, so we'll review your policy and bring it back.
Well, I still have a home in Tallahassee, and a lot of the time, and it would be on my calendar that I'm out of town. I'm not on county business, but I don't want somebody to think that the county is paying for my travel to and from Tallahassee when it's up there, on non-county business, because I'm not. So I just want to make that very clear that I don't want my fly fishing adventures on the west coast of Florida to be interrupted by somebody thinking I'm charging it off to the county.
Ms. Post.
So in terms of transparency, as Councilwoman Denny's noted, our calendars note where we are. There are many ways where we are showing transparency and showing how money is spent and where we're going. And I think nobody will be going to Hawaii anytime soon on county time. And that's we're a good council with good common sense. And I think I think we're there where we're not going to be doing anything ridiculous. So in terms of transparency, though, and I'm in agreement with a travel policy. That's great. It's always good to have things in writing and have a directive, and letting other council members know what we're doing is fantastic. I can tell you that when I went to the Medical Marijuana Summit, there was another person there from the county. Would have been nice to know that person was going. Same thing at the Governor's Job Summit. Ran into some people there. Would have been nice to have known that they were going. So letting the council know, I think, is good. In terms of reporting to the county manager, however, I can say I'm not in favor of. And if we're doing that in terms of transparency and in terms of for liability for legal reasons, in case we get into a car accident or something, so that people know that someone from the county knows that we're gone. When I went up to Tallahassee, I went to staff and I said, hey, here's what I want to do. I want to go to Tallahassee. What's the procedure? What do I need to do to make this happen? I was told the procedure to make it happen. The county made my hotel reservations. The county gave me a credit card, and I went. So to me, there was no issue. And I apologize to the council for not letting you know, although I did get my final appointment confirmed the evening of the council meeting. So that's when I actually officially decided I was going. But it seems to me that, as done in the past, when you're submitting and going through the procedures that you're going through, and if the county makes your travel reservations, and if the county gives you a card and does those things, that the county is aware that you're going. And I know that there has been discussion over and over about the council and county manager and the weight of authority. No disrespect to anyone, but in this case, I don't see the benefit of us making an actual policy that says that we must notify the county manager, even on same-day trips, provide him with advance notice of where we're going and what we're doing. I can tell you, I have no idea where he goes and what he does, and he works under us. So that's just my stance, and I'm in agreement of a travel policy. I'm not in agreement with that point. And what I would ask, perhaps, Dan, is could we possibly look at 5 other counties that are equal to Volusia in population and stance, maybe Alachua and whoever else, to see what their policies are, and just to see if that's the norm, because I don't believe it is.
Well, I think you answered it in your statement of why we should do this. One of the exact reasons is, let's say that I want to go somewhere and you're already going there. And then the county management would know, and I said, well, I'm going to go to this. And they said, well, Ms. Post is going as well. And I said, well, then fine, and then I won't go. Or like in the event where you went and 2 other people were already there, or one was there, then if we know that, then you do know in advance. And I think it's just in business, if this was a business, you would have to do that. And this is kind of a business because we're out there representing our constituents and the public, and it's not a punishment, or it's not I don't view it as anything restrictive. It's just an informative, so we don't run up into a situation where 3 of us go up to sit on a committee, a hearing or something that's going on in a committee, when maybe, I mean, I don't care to travel any more than I have to. I've done enough of that in my life. So if somebody else is going, I'm more than willing to say, Ms. Post, you're going, fine, I won't have to go. But where we need to be represented, and I think that answers it. I don't see it as being restrictive at all, like I said.
Well, so one thing I can say is I'm fairly confident that, and I don't know for sure, and maybe Jim, you can answer this, but Betty, who is the liaison between you and us, was aware of the first 2 trips that I made where I ran into people. And,
those are fine.
And
Yeah.
but I'm saying at no point did anyone come to me and say, no, at no point did Jim come to me and say, so-and-so is going to be there. So I'm not sure where that would fit in. That to me does not.
Well, Mr. Deneen may or may not have known until after the fact. I think he did not know until after the fact. Even
That
though
being
it's on your
said,
calendar.
I still stand on
Okay.
my.
Okay. Ms. Dennis.
Just final comments on this. I don't want to restrict council members attending the same event. We've got this thing called the Florida Sunshine Law. So if Councilwoman Post attends a meeting or a seminar, she can't come back and call us and update us all, and it's certainly not going to happen with our shortened council meetings here, very honestly. So if 1 or 3 of us or all of us show up at an agenda at the Florida League of Counties, Florida Association of Counties, or wherever we go, but I just don't want the conclusion to be only one of us will attend, because
That was just me personally, sorry.
Certainly, because the issues, sometimes it's just an educational piece too, to get up to speed and to make those connections with working. So again, I'm going to encourage, especially now, encourage us to be more involved at a regional issue, because if we're not, the other regions are overtaking us. So I intend to be more high profile regionally, and several of us are sitting on the executive boards of some of these regional boards, and I hope to get more appointed to that, so Volusia is represented on a regional scale. So travel is not going to decrease, it's going to increase with representation regionally. So I just want to make sure that it's not, the thought wasn't that just one of us.
I'm in agreement with you on that. I've attended conferences, the National League of Cities, where three members from our council went. And there are all workshops. And so what we did, even maybe our manager, so you go and you divide and you conquer and you go to different.
And it's training,
and
and
you go to different ones. And so there's times that you have to, I'm just saying for me personally, if there's an issue that someone is going to represent or to be there and to be involved and can bring that information back, for me, I'm not going to go if I don't have to.
Okay. Chair, you get to go.
Just saying.
I'm just saying.
Ms. Post, you're up again.
So I'm suggesting that if Attorney Eckert can look at some of the other counties that are like us to see if that part, and that is the only part that I'm not in agreement with, is typical in any other counties, or if any other counties actually do that. I would ask that the council, if you would mind waiting till the next meeting to approve this travel policy. I'm more than happy to have a travel policy, but I'm just asking that we do that and just look at it and think about that section.
I think some of it has been looked at when they developed it. Most of the other, in fact, all of the other counties get the full payment established by the state for compensation. So therein lies a big difference, and maybe the people, if you look within the cities of Volusia County, the 16 cities, all have different policies for reimbursement. So you're going to find that there's going to be differences. And for us to be like some other county, I don't think, really personally, I don't see we need to copy what they're doing. I think personally this plan is transparent, it's open, it's not restrictive. We're not wanting to be restrictive. If we find for any reason that it restricts anyone's ability to do their business, then we'll change it. It's just that simple. But seeing what others do, they did look at that. In fact, it was published. Ms. Wheeler?
Yeah, I'm not quite following exactly what you're wanting, Commissioner Post. I think this is just a matter of consideration, and I don't feel like I have to check in with the manager. I just feel like letting staff know if there is something going on or whatever, that's a good way for the rest of the council to know. And it's just a consideration. I don't feel like it's an oversight that we go to the staff to get permission, because that's certainly not what we have to do, nor should do. But I think it's more just consideration. Once staff knows, then any other council member, if they question or whatever where the person is, or maybe they could just send a note, council member so-and-so is somewhere, so you know. I just consider it as consideration to our team. So I'm in support of getting this done.
Dr. Lowry.
Yeah, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we adopt resolution adopting the amended restated travel policy.
I'll second. Okay.
Seconded. Two places, Ms. Wheeler. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
Me.
You see, motion carries 4-1 with Ms. Post 5-1. Ms. Post opposing. Dr. Lowry.
That was my comment. I'm done.
No, I thought you had something between the two. Jim said you had.
Yeah, yes, that would be after item 5.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said before.
And-
Sorry.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I was up to
Sorry.
still speak on that issue. I just wanted to respond to what Councilwoman Wheeler said. In regards to consideration, you've mentioned staff, and staff should be notified, and that is the procedure, and I think that's been the procedure that has been followed for years. And I want to reiterate that whenever I have gone anywhere and representing the council, I have notified staff and followed the procedures that I've been told to follow, been given permission, county made all the arrangements. So there's a huge difference, I think, between staff in terms of travel, and I just think we're on a touchy subject with our charter form of government when we put in our policies that we need to report, and I understand we're not getting permission, but it's specifically that we need to report to the county manager the things that we're doing. So,
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Durney.
I would be very happy with the fact if we want to look at this another way, because quite frankly, I would like to be removed as far as I can from the involvement of the county manager's office in travel with the council. So if we can find another way to do it, I'd be happy, because quite frankly, I'm uncomfortable. I've always been uncomfortable with the way this works, because each council, one of the things you're going to find out, all these county governments are different. We're the only charter county like we are. So I don't want any appearance at all that I am involved with or approval, even in an inference of approving people's travel. Okay, so if there's another way to do this that you're all comfortable with, that either reports differently or takes it away from my office, I would encourage you to maybe wait and see if there's another way to handle it, because I don't think anybody should be uncomfortable, and I don't think I should be uncomfortable either.
Okay. Well, Mr. Patterson.
How does this affect our elected department heads? Are they separate?
They follow the same procedures.
Follow the same procedures.
Okay.
Let's move. But what we've done, we've passed the motion, we've adopted it, we've said that if you want to make a change on it, bring it back. I mean, to me, it's just part of business, but I mean, that's because I guess that's just the way I've always functioned, is that, somebody needs to know. We're not asking for permission, it's just a good business practice just to do that, and the legal part of it. And I don't think, nobody said anything your travel was approved previously. Anything anybody wants to go, no one's brought that up from the dais. So it's all good to go. That's history. Let's move on. If we find that this cramps anybody's ability to serve, then we'll look at it then. How about that?
Mr. Chair, one other comment. I do think in the case of the elected department heads that it has not been as clear, I take that back, as it has been some council members, because they're not at your council meeting. So what I've had in the past is we've had council members or elected department heads, the previous group, that let our staff know and let my office know when they were going somewhere. But I do have three new people, so I can't tell you specifically if they would follow the same guidelines, because there are no written guidelines. So, I can't claim that that's exactly what's happening with the three new ones we have. So, quite frankly, that's a different animal, so to speak.
Ms. Dennis?
Based on the manager's request to possibly remove himself from the appearance that council's reporting to the manager, I would support bringing this back, Mr. Manager, to take a look to see how we can remove you. There's headlines.
I really hope
There's
you takes
I want you to rephrase that.
I think it's a 5-2 vote or something.
But I don't want to give it the wrong appearance, because I think Ms. Post has got a point. I work for the council, it's not the other way around. And I inherited a system. And I will tell you, with the I have three new elected department heads, that the past practice may not be exactly what they intend to follow, or because we don't have it in writing. So maybe we ought to massage it some.
Council, can we agree to, we've got this policy as it now. Can we agree to direct the manager to bring back a proposal that will put more of an arm's length from the manager to this council? Because this is a non-issue. We're talking, it's kind of like chickens and birds. I'm done.
30 minutes on it.
I know. So can we direct the manager to come back and find something we all agree on? That's all I'm asking. Mr.
Okay. If direct you just to remove that, I still think it's a good idea for somebody to know, whether it's the council, if you want to bring it back, and
But I
if you're
think
going to
that's
be
always
going
been the
somewhere,
case.
send an email
staff
to every
always known.
council member, then we'll be people to look at it. Anyway, let's move on, bring it back. We'll move to item 5.
Is that agreement on that? Everybody good on that? I'm just wondering.
He can bring it back, and we'll agree to either look at it or not.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Joanne?
Good morning. Joanne Magley, Community Information Director, and I have your public event update this morning. New since the last meeting, we have 2 items on the event calendar. Thursday, April 13th, we will have a public input meeting on Lemon Bluff Park. We're going to seek input on the design of a new boat ramp and park at Lemon Bluff Park, and that meeting will be at the Osteen Civic Center, and more information is on our website at volusia.org. And also, the second event that we've added to the calendar is Daytona Beach International Airport Community Appreciation Day. This is Saturday, April 22nd from 10 to noon at the airport, and this is an opportunity for anybody who wants to come and learn a little bit more about Daytona Beach International Airport and our airlines, and just more information about our airport. And we'll have some staff there to give information. We're going to have Sheldon, the official mascot of Daytona Tortugas, there, and as you know, the airport has an exclusive partnership now, or soon will, with the Tortugas. That was approved on this morning's consent agenda. So that's your community event update. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you.
Dr. Lowry.
Thank you. I want to bring back the matter that several people spoke on this morning. I think it was started by Ms. Northey in regard to a resolution that of encouragement, endorsement. This is a non-binding kind of a deal. It's certainly no money involved, but to use the Amendment 1 monies in a way for land acquisition and so forth. The only reason I'm bringing this up, I don't like to do things quickly. The resolution is being passed out now. It's just one of support. As I said, it's non-binding. There's no money involved. We just like to encourage these folks as they represent us, because the session is coming quickly to an end, so there is a timely matter on this. Otherwise, I would wait and have it scheduled and so forth, but I'd like for us to, I don't know if we want to, Mr. Eckert, you might want to address that if you have some information for us, please.
Yes, sir. I've distributed, anticipating the council might wish to consider this, but not, and trying to be ready for your action if you decide to take it. I've taken Mr. Kintner's proposed resolution. I've made a few changes. I'd like I can go through them pretty quickly. I've just changed the state legislature to the Florida legislature. What was the second section of Mr. Kintner's resolution has become the first sentence of section 1. I think it serves as a predicate for the following sentence. And so that sentence appeared, the county council considers the acquisition, protection, and management, et cetera. Mr. Kintner had that separated. And I've added the word therefore, because I think it follows from the prior sentence. Other than that, and I've changed the formatting just a little bit, so section 2 is entitled transmittal. Other than that, it's in your, just put it in your format. It's the policy position that's being advocated to you, and I've just formatted it, really. It's ready. This is not as it was discussed at final, at public participation. This is not final action that would, that it doesn't require placement on a following agenda. You're in a position to take action on this today, should you choose to do so.
Okay. So you made that in the form of a motion?
Yeah, I will do that now, but I also, if someone needs a few more minutes, so we could recess for 2 minutes. If anybody else needs a little bit of time to look at it, it's pretty simple.
Let's take 5-minute recess.
Okay. Yes.
I know Jeff's not, Jeff, are you ready?
Oh, sure. Thank you.
We'll go back and reconvene the council meeting. And Dr. Lowry, I believe you're up.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to come back and officially make a motion that we adopt a resolution regarding the acquisition of conservation lands. That, again, this is a motion to adopt this resolution to encourage and to support the move on the folks that came this morning.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any objection to the motion? Hearing none. the
Whoa,
motion-
whoa, whoa,
whoa. Sorry.
Are we doing this for Pat Northey?
No, you're doing it for Fred Lowry right now.
We're doing it for volusia.
Oh.
Volusia County.
Oh.
And Mr. Kettner and everybody else that came this morning before the session gets out of.
Oh,
Okay.
Hearing no objection, the motion stands approved. We'll move now to item 6. And this is the appointment to the Historic Preservation Board. Ms. Post, I guess you're up.
Okay. I hope you're talking to Pat.
It
Okay.
wouldn't be me.
Okay. So I do want to point out for this appointment to the Historic Preservation Board, that for District 4 member nomination, there are so many people on here that are truly deserving of this position and just amazing people. And in talking with them, I had to make a decision. So I would like to nominate Tom Roberts for the appointment to this Historic Preservation Board for District 4.
Okay. No. We do? We don't? I didn't think so. Without opposition, the motion to accept Tom Roberts' appointment of the Historic Preservation Board stands approved. Move to item 7. Ms. Wheeler.
Mr. Chair, I would like to nominate for the Eco Advisory Committee Cindy Ritchie.
Cindy Ritchie has been nominated to serve on the Eco Advisory Committee, and I'm losing my voice. Is any opposition to this appointment? Hearing none, the motion stands approved. Move to item 8, District 2. You have 2 people, I have none.
You get one of these.
I can't have one. It's got, I think mine has to live in the west side.
No. 2 appointments. Aren't you the chair gets to choose anybody, right?
Except I think I have to have,
Yeah, but there's 2 appointments, chair and District 2.
It says within the county.
but I think mine
That's
had
a
to.
District
County,
2
yeah.
appointment. There's only one appointment.
Right.
Okay. I am recommending Kimberly Hovanchek.
That's easy for
Kimberly
you to say.
H. has been nominated to serve on the Library Advisory Board by Ms. Wheeler. Any objections to that nomination? Hearing none, the motion to accept Kimberly Horowitz as the will stand approved.
So there isn't another
Move to
nomination
item 9.
there? There is, yeah.
Well,
You choose from everything.
I think on that one I had to choose one east and one west. If you look at the,
Mm-mm. Says the whole county.
It does not indicate that.
are you sure?
I think for you.
That's why I didn't appoint someone to start with.
Library. For the chair. Two nomin.
1 second, please.
Well, I've already appointed someone
Yes, you've already appointed someone, sir.
Right. Tom Hart, to be exact. So I don't have an appointment. I don't know why they had me. Right? Okay. Now we can move to item 9. I guess, George, you're up.
Yep, Mr. Chair, thank you. Item 9 is our quarterly update of the capital plan. I'm just going to go over some of the highlights. I'll have Sue put up the actual schedule. Again, at this point, everything is pretty much on track. I'll talk about a few things. But one thing I wanted to highlight, if you kind of take a look at what's going to happen in the quarter we're in now, quarter 3, more and more of those projects are moving from the green to the red, meaning they're going from design and permitting into the bidding and construction area. And of course, that's where the real money starts being spent in a lot of cases. So, and it's also where, and one of the reasons we put this together is we have to look at our staff and how much we can handle at any given time. We are a leaner organization, and we got 2 or 3 people whose names would pop on them almost all of these projects with various times. And of course, and even leading up to this, especially when you get into bidding, you're talking about legal documents that have to be produced. You're talking about purchasing that has to occur. So a lot goes on as you move from the green into the red, and you're going to see a lot of red going out, and you don't see a lot of the design and permitting and things. So in other words, these projects are starting to get maturity. But and I think as we'll talk later on, finances will probably dictate also where we go as far as adding other projects into this mix. So I just wanted to highlight a few things. The ARF, the Airfield Rescue Firefighting Facility there under the airport, right now is on target. If you've been out at a meeting or anything out there and you look from the boardroom, you can see across there that the walls are coming up and they're up and running. We also, I wanted to point out that we're kind of aligning the terminal air handling unit replacement at the airport and the Ocean Center. The same contractor is managing that work, so we're trying to get them into alignment. The project is probably more complex and a little bit more expensive at the Ocean Center, but the Ocean Center funds are easier to work with. On the airport side, of course, we're working with federal funds, and that creates a little bit more complexity in how we set up the contracts. The other one I wanted to point out for sure was the marquee replacement out at the Ocean Center. This has kind of been a long time coming. We want to modernize that. That is kind of a holdover from when that was the marquee, when it was just the arena. There's been several changes through the years in the, I guess, the sign ordinances and such in the city of Daytona. So we're going through the city process to go ahead and get approval, but we're trying to get a marquee, that's that our clients that we serve at the Ocean Center, their events are properly displayed and advertised, and we want something that's modern. So we're working that through the process right now, and hopefully everything that'll go smoothly, and the city will work with us because obviously it's right in the center of their E-zone, and we feel it's in keeping with what the spirit of the E-zone was put together. I have highlighted a little bit too. We got the 10th Street down in the border between Edgewater and New Smyrna. That might be falling out a little farther, but we're still diligently working with the railroad. As you know, the railroad FEC was sold in the middle of this project, and we basically had to start all over with a different group of people, and their demands have changed on the project, and in order for us to get across that railroad, they really hold the key to that. So we have to work with them. But I got to commend Jerry's staff for persistence. They it's still out there, and they're still working at it. But it is delayed a little bit, but it's still looking like we might get this thing finally into bidding and construction. I had reported last time on the Turnbull Bay Bridge. that change has been made, and they are going to lengthen the bridge. The good news also, I mean, they are working on this project now. You just don't see it because a lot of stuff's happening back in the precast yards, and they'll be coming out, I think, in June, and you'll actually see work out in the field beginning in June. Other projects, you know, are on track as we flip the page and get into some of the other road projects. They're all right now holding on schedule. We finished up a little sidewalk job down there. That was more important to the school board. They were very happy that we got that done. There is a little bit of delay in this Normandy Boulevard Reclaimed Water Extension, pushed a little bit, but I think we're fine. It was just some changes in design and permitting. And that's another project where I think, you know, Mike doesn't do a project where he doesn't ask for funding for grants and all that. So I know he's working with that also. So really, right now, everything's in pretty good shape. I reported before, and I'll just repeat on the Orange Avenue Bridge. It's a long, big project, and it's really hard to say, you know, where they're at for sure. They have not come in and asked us for any time extension at this point, but, you know, they may be falling slightly behind. But in a project that large, it's just really early in the process. Once the pilings are all in, then it starts becoming, you know, you've got your construction points to come from. Again, they're behind the scenes precasting and doing things, so things will start showing up, large pieces that'll get attached and put together and then poured together. So there's a possibility they could make up that time when that happens. But always one of the hardest parts is doing underground stuff, because you cannot, they don't know what they're encountering. You know, they do a few borings and they have a guess, but when we get out there in the field, things can, conditions can take longer or shorter depending on that. So they're in that process now. If you've been over there when they're driving piles, and it was always going to be quite a large endeavor. So it'll rattle your teeth if you're near. So with that, if there's any questions.
Any questions? No questions? Maybe? Yes, comment. Ms. Dennis.
Thank you. I guess it's on. I appreciate the comments in red that you're making on this, because this document and the way it's constructed is extremely helpful. But just a question on the Doyle Road paved shoulders. This is what we brought to TPO, right, because it was increased cost, right? We pulled it off the last TPO agenda. This is that same project, I assume?
Is it the same one? Or I know we have multiple Doyle Road shoulder projects, so I'm not sure.
That's okay, Jerry. Is it a different aspect of this? Okay, man, a few words. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Britton. And I want to, this document here and all these numbers are a baseline. What we're seeing, we just had an executive meeting at the TPO looking to determine what we were going to put on the projects list and come to the full TPO board meeting this month. And of course, one of our projects is on there, the Doyle Avenue, the Shoulders project, increased in funding. It's not the exception anymore. It's the rule with increased costs. So all these numbers that we're seeing here, be prepared to add 15 to 25% before we're completed. That's a fact in every project we're working on. And it's kind of a hard pill to swallow. And at first, it's not believable. When we first did the Turnbull Bay Bridge request, when FDOT came to us and said, by the way, go back to TPO and ask for some of those unallocated funds for half of the increase, it was a hard-fought battle, and it was hard to be believed. Now that some of the other cities are seeing the same thing and they're coming to TPO, they have the same increases. So buckle up. I mean, it's this is a baseline. These numbers, I would be shocked unless they're already in position George, depending where they are in that posture, but is that
It's a fair statement. One thing I will say, I'm very proud of our staff. We have a very professional staff that manages these projects. So, when these things occur, it all has to be documented, and they don't just get to willy-nilly do it. There has to be, if they've bid on it and it's a price. And like you say, that red is bidding and construction, so we'll know more as those convert through the bid process. They'll be coming to you at that point, and that's when, you will be able to see and make those determinations. Some of the good news, I think, out there, and also to remember, several of these projects, you approved one today in the consent out at the solid waste facility, and those are enterprise funds, and in that case, the solid waste fund has no debt, and they're doing this all in cash, and they're able to meet their obligation, build this facility, and in future years, you'll see be expanding their cell, which is the heart of the whole operation. So again, it's a testament that we do things in a conservative manner. We try to estimate in a conservative manner and build in that manner, so that and so, like I say, we pay as we go in a lot of these areas. We have, and I don't think everyone realizes that when they start talking. And even our water utility, which typically has debt, and it has some debt, but it's a very, very low debt ratio. So, but the landfill has zero debt, and that's very rare. When you think about what they're going to have to do next, to expand their cell, and they're in very good shape. They'll be able to pay for it in cash.
If I can add, obviously this has been a long-term process of all the previous councils, and this whole focus on trying to stay more cash-based so that we don't pass on legacy costs to future councils, and also hamper their ability to get other projects done. The big issue that's going to be different than it's been in the previous 11 years is you have two things that's happened. One is this growth in the economy, and therein an natural increase in prices that has to do with a higher demand and less materials. Together with, you're still feeling some of the impacts from the hurricane. So the problem we're going to have, I think, is that even on our best guess estimates, we could see increases higher than we could normally have been expected. That's going to show up in the 5-year plan, because the one thing that we've done on the capital projects is we did not have much flexibility in the past. And so some of the projects, let's use the Sheriff's Evidence Building, are really overdue, but you didn't have the money. So now as we put these down, we've only put really projects that must be done to a great degree. So what's going to happen when you get an increased cost is you do one of two things. You either don't do the project, or you have to think about how do we do that, whether we finance it differently, or we wait longer, or do it over a longer period of years in some kind of segments. Those questions are going to come up as we start doing the 5-year plan if these prices continue to rise the way we are fearful, because there was no way we would have built in the kind of increases we may be seeing. So that's going to be a problem. Here's the other thing. The projects we have are the backbone of running the organization on capital needs. That is one of our number one responsibilities for the council, is to make sure that we're prepared and keep the engine running for years to go. The previous council identified a longer-term need that we are now working on, that this council is going to have to decide what they want to do. It's the criminal justice system in terms of the court system. And as you know, as we've talked to you, we have that ongoing program where we're looking at all of our space needs, which really needs to be done. In some cases, those needs aren't quite as immediate as, like, say, the evidence building, but they're immediate in their own way as we go forward. The problem is when you start getting into that system, there's no way to make small incremental changes, and the cost is going to be very significant. Now, we have structured ourselves as a low debt county so that we'll give the council some opportunity to deal with these issues. But these are going to be some really big ones, and the stuff with the court system is going to be one of the biggest costs.
Have we moved to item 10 and I went to sleep?
Yes.
We did?
No, we're on 9.
We're 9. This is all part of the quarterly.
Yeah.
It's the medication, dude.
I thought this was part of the master plan update of future things, not the where we are on these. Okay, I'm sorry.
I'll finish right there.
You're doing good. Okay. So that, let's move, unless you've got anything else, George.
No,
I think there were no other questions, one comment. So let's move to item 10 before I lose what voice I've got.
Okay. As Maryland comes up for item 10, they are related, so the idea that this is within the master plan.
But talking about 5-year plans
Sure.
being something different is not part of the
I
recap
understand.
of the quarterly.
And we're going to have Maryland go over now.
Well, now, if I can intercept for a minute, it is part of the capital plan, because the capital plan, all you see was all based on a 5-year plan. So what I was talking about is the basis. This was the quarterly update.
Right.
But I'm sorry if I gave you just an overview because I thought that the council member had brought it up to make that point.
Well, I think we all are aware that going forward, the prices are what we're expecting are not going to be what they really are going to be. We know that. And you're going to give us some good news, though.
Good morning, Marilyn Chandler Ford, Corrections Director on Special Assignment. I'm here with the quarterly update for the Dynamic Master Plan. It's attached to your agenda item, and what you have are only those work matrices that have been changed. So there were 8 matrices that we're going to show in this PowerPoint that reflect accomplishments. 6 of them relate to county council actions, primarily to funding grants that you've seen earlier this year. And 2 were a report to council. It's been a part of their work plan, but it's something that they have already accomplished. Let's see. Okay, and I'm looking at, you have this chart in your materials. They tell you what date the council took action, what was the agenda item, and then 5 divisions within your work matrices revised things. They either added new strategies, reworded language, or deleted strategies. And let's look at the next slides to refresh everybody's memory. Dark blue items are things that are ongoing. Light blue are achievements. So a project could be achieved in its entirety, or it could be an incremental step along the way to reach the long-term strategy. What on your matrices, things that are white, that's a way to draw your eye to it. That's what we're talking about, are the changes. And we've added some language in red. It will either be new to refer to, this is something that really hadn't been part of a work plan, and it was new. Entirely new. You hadn't seen it before this. It's an update, which means it's been on the work plan and they've now achieved it. Some of the changes were they revised the language, which meant as the divisions and departments looked at what they were doing, they said, gee, substantively, we need to reword this, we need to take something out, and we wanted to highlight that. And in some cases, they deleted an item saying, you know, as we look at this again, and that's the wonderful part of this dynamic master plan. It's not just a one-time event. The divisions and departments and their staffs are continuing to use it. So in terms of the airport, they actually accomplished the fuel farm that was on their work plan. It's done. And then they also made incremental achievement under the ongoing action step of revenue stream. They had 2 leases. For economic development, as part of the financial support for business expansion and recruitment, Council has looked at 3 opportunities under the QTI program. They did one in January, February, and March. Community information, parks, recreation, and culture. This was part of their work plan. It's not something that came to council other than you got the report about the success of the Daytona Marathon this year. Community assistance. This is an example of a brand new item. DeLand came in with their proposal for a homeless center, and the county council reviewed it and took action and agreed to provide infrastructure support back in January. So they have achieved that. environmental management. This is a new action step that they had. They had not had this on their work plan that you received earlier in the year. And underneath that, two of the things that they have accomplished, they obtained a $20,000 grant from the St. Johns River Management Water District, and they also received $5,000 in grant funds from the find. Whoops. And Ocean Center, went too fast. Ocean Center, you took action in terms of highlighting the display of Echo at the Ocean Center, and that falls into developing the client experience for their users. And the Sheriff's Office, their entire work matrix is new, and that's understandable. They have a new agency head, and so all of the items in the work plan that you have are brand new. Some of them they've already accomplished, and those have come to you for grants you've already approved, and then there's other things that they have been doing internally. Are there any questions?
Thank you. A very complete report. Ms. Denny's, sorry.
No, that's okay. Tell me again, Mr. Rechtenwald, forgive me, I know we talked about, I asked you, under community service, where's Hope Place?
Okay, Hope Place was actually under the 2016 accomplishment. That came under community services in July, so that was on their work plan as action that had been taken. What happened this year is that Parks, Recreation, and Culture is going to be responsible for installing and maintaining the recreation yard.
No, I'm not
at
talking
Hope
about
Place.
recreation, I'm talking about Hope Place. I'm not talking
yeah,
about the park
it's a d-
piece of it.
yeah, it's
I'm talking about Hope Place.
Yeah, just to point it out, and I pointed out to Ms. Denny's, it's in the community services, page 2 of 4, in the update of 2016, and it's. I think one of the things we had discussed, we might want to, the Hope Place is it opens up, and this might be a candidate for a little rewording. It opens up with worked with Halifax Urban Ministries and community to partner to identify, address issues related to homelessness for families and teens by partnering with the Volusia County Schools to acquire the former Hearst Elementary in 2015, the public-private partnership approved by County Council 2016, for facility for which now is known as Hope Place. So I think maybe we just highlight the Hope Place a little, because that's now more
Well, it's
what
an
known
ongoing, we're not finished yet.
Right, it's ongoing.
It's not completed. So that should be under the community services piece. I mean, the bits and pieces that we do, break it down, parks, libraries, whatever
And
we're
I
going to do.
think what we were waiting on, and just in talking to the CFO, we haven't dispersed any more money since then, but when we do, as part of the project, then those will also be updated in her next update.
But my point is, it's a huge project that's ongoing, so why it's not in here, it needs to be in here.
We'll highlight it, that's
It's my
fine.
understanding that this is the work in progress. These are projects in progress, correct?
And it's very possible we overlooked putting it and keeping it on the list. I've made a note to do that, and if you identify anything else
Exactly.
that
If
you
there's
would like
anything
to
else,
see.
because, what we have so many things going, I think when, like I said, they wait for an actual action to happen and report it, but you're correct, I mean, something this high profile, just like the capital plan itself, should probably just have a continuous update, so we'll add that in there.
And I guess what I'm looking for, what I expect, is that any project that we're currently involved with and has county involvement up to completion, and even then when it's completed, we just like in the capital improvement projects, then the completion would be added to the bottom of the list, but there has to be a show of progression and not just the pieces in the parts. So going forward, let's get Hope Place in here and all these major projects, keep them in there. If it's in process, that's the purpose of this.
Exactly, and literally, and you'll notice on the agenda where there are things that are tied, that they're not, I would say, mundane, like buying supplies or these type of things, because in some way you could make the tide almost everything to a goal But we are trying to make that effort as we go along, because literally every action that's taken in these meetings, other than those, ties back to some of these goals. So staff is actually, the department heads and division heads, are tracking that and then getting them to Maryland. So you're correct. We ought to be able to report on it all as we go along, and next time we'll make sure. And if there's any other high-profile ones that we'll talk about that, and if there's anything you suggest, we'll make sure that is included. But literally, there's always something going towards just about all of these goals and items. And what we highlighted today were things that I think that the department's brought up, and I think we'll do a little bit more thorough on the next one.
Thank you. Thanks. It's a
Thank
great
you.
report.
Thank you. And I love the USB. Thank you. You always give us the little USB.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
What we've done is we've provided them to you on flash drive. If you would like a hard copy, you can ask the staff assistant to do that. We thought we would make sure we're going green.
Thank you, Marilyn. Do we have anyone else on public participation? I didn't think so. Moving on.
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. We will move to discussion by council of matters not on the agenda and committee reports. We'll start with Ms. Denny's.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple minor things first here. Our TPO, we have 5 council members serve on that, and we have the ability to have 2 alternates. We have 1 alternate. Councilman Lowry is an alternate. I'd like to suggest that Councilwoman Post be also appointed as an alternate, because as these votes and we go forward like our Doyle Road and these county projects, if one of us can't be there to represent the council, I think we should appoint Councilwoman Post as an alternate.
She has punched her button. Well, I was wondering why we didn't, because there was a time where we were short one because you couldn't be there, and so we actually were short. We only had 4 because 2 members were not there. The alternate wasn't there, and I was wondering then what we would do, and I was wondering why.
We didn't like her yet.
Pardon?
We didn't know if we really liked her that much.
Notice he said yet.
Yet.
So that's good.
That's past tense. Okay, so I think that's a good idea, and
Mr. Chair, I think you point.
I'd like to go ahead and appoint you as an alternate,
We'll accept. Thank you very much.
so you're there.
Okay, great.
Very good. That's a little bit of housekeeping. Second, just briefly, Governor Scott was at Boston Whaler this past week. Again, Councilwoman Post was there. Thank you for helping represent Volusia County, just to represent, talk about all the great economic development going on in the county. And I want to thank our Coastal Director, Jessica Winthrop, for going with me to speak to the New Smyrna Beach Board of Realtors. She gave an update on what's going on after hurricane and all the projects with Smyrna Dunes Park and the fishing pier that we'll be doing a ribbon cutting here soon on. It's another really big project. Thank you. We've had a lot of positive input from what staff is doing and representing the county on everything. So thank you with that. I want to address an issue here. We've all seen the newspapers on the articles on what's going on beachside Daytona Beach, and I think it's time, Mr. Chair, you try to guide us a little bit that way, and we, either through lack of comprehension or not enough information and having conversations, I maybe just wasn't ready for the project or for the commitment, but I think it's time that we step up to the plate and as a council and as a county and try to address very positively through Blue Ribbon Committee or whatever we want to call it, the issues in beachside Daytona Beach. So I'd like to propose a motion. I'd like to establish a beachside redevelopment committee comprised of 1 appointment by each county council member and 2 appointments by the chair. And if you think the at-large member should have 2 also, I think that would be fair. In addition, I think each affected city in this area should appoint 1 member. And I'd like the committee to be charged with independently looking at the neighborhood blight, infrastructure issues, economic development issues, public safety issues, the state, and bring back recommendations to this council. The committee would also be charged with reviewing other beach redevelopment around Florida and identifying funding sources. Here's a key to this to make it successful. They would have the ability to identify other funding sources and grants that the county can apply for. And I'd like to, in that motion, I'd like to direct staff to bring this back for the next meeting. And council members, if this is a direction you'd like to go in, we can come back then with our appointees and take it forward. But I think this is a time for real visionary leadership, and we have an opportunity with some leaders in the community that are willing to do that. And I, for one, am willing to listen and see what else is out there and take any and every opportunity we can to be a part of the solution. We know what the problem is. It's time to be part of the solution. And I think it's a great opportunity for some visionary leadership among all of us.
Thank you. I think that's a great idea. Ms.
Mr.
Patterson?
Yeah, Ms. Denise, would that possibly include CRA expenditures in these areas so we know where that money is gone?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, it's open, so I don't want to micromanage what they're going to do or the conclusions they're going to come to, but I would say everything's on the table. Everything's fair.
I think from reading what I've read in the papers, I'm kind of got the feeling that there's been a lot of money out there, but they haven't said the question of like, where has it really gone? Because it seems like from just the pictures this morning on some facade grants that were done, I don't know if that was CRA money, but when you take 176 or whatever it was $1 million in CRA money, half of which comes from the county, I think we need some accounting on all this. That's just my feeling.
Fair enough. And just one last thing before I move on, and I should have had this to you, Deb, to get up on the overhead. We're in an interesting time legislatively here at the state and the federal concerns. I had a conversation with our property appraiser, Mr. Bartlett, yesterday on one of the bills currently at the legislature on an extra exemption with the homestead. Should that pass, that will have a direct impact to Volusia County's general fund to the tune of $12.6 million. $12.6 million to the general fund. It's not a tax cut, it's a tax shift. And the state will be shifting the taxes to the local cities and to the counties. And for some of our constrained cities, there you go, that's really interesting. Look at this. Based on the taxable value and what this millage is, Mr. Bartlett has estimated us to be at $12.6 million. Seminole and some of the other counties, I was looking at them at the Florida Association of Counties website. They have a lot of information about this and the concern and the direct impacts to the counties. Some of our smaller cities, if you look at the other one, the estimated impact on the municipalities in our constrained cities, the smaller cities, will be devastated. Some of them have no other alternatives to move around their millage. So we're looking at a $12.6 million impact that will have very real impacts to Volusia County. Now that's at the state level. If you want to go to the federal level, at the federal level, should President Trump's proposed budget reduction pass, and it looks pretty good like it's going to, very genuinely, who knows, but should it pass, just for Volusia County? Donna, I called her last night after I took a look at what's happening here at the state level. I said, well, let's take a real look at the federal impact. The federal impact just for 1 year is going to be $4.2 million. So we add the 12.6 and the 4.2, we're up to about $17 million impact to our general fund. This is real money. So council, what I'm asking you to seriously consider, and you saw the packages of information that I passed out to our friends that were here on the homeless issue. We want to get to yes. We want to have a good contract. We want to have something we can work with. But at the same time, I think it would be fiscally irresponsible to commit anything, and not just to the homeless issue, until we get through this legislative session at the state, which is another, what, 4 weeks? Session will be over. First session will be over in 4 weeks. Let's see what's going to happen there and then at the federal level, because if we have the 17 million, and if we commit another 4 million to a home, this is all general fund, that's $21 million. At that point, my question's going to be, where do the cuts come from? If you're coming with a project, and anybody, not, and I don't want to single out the homeless issue, but that's just one that's in the highlight right now. I think in May, we're going to do the 5-year projection. Is that right, Donna? You're going to be doing that for us with the budget? So, council, if the session's over, if we take a $12.6 million hit, we're going to have a workshop to say, where are we cutting? So I will tell you right now, a 1% pay raise is what? How many million? 1% countywide is it 2 million, 3 million? Generally speaking. About 2 million. It's about 2 million. 1% pay raise, $2 million. So, my good union friends, please listen to this. 1%, and that's 1% pay raise for everybody is $2 million. So, you start cutting into this, there will be no pay raises, or there will be cuts, or services will be cut. The hard decisions will be made. That's the reality of this. So, in speaking with Mr. Bartlett about this yesterday and this millage issue, I know he's going to be presenting Monday at the Elected Leaders Roundtable. I believe he's going to be speaking on this. He has a PowerPoint. These are his slides that he used to the Florida Financial Association, all governors, all those smart guys. He was asked to present this. So around the state, they're taking a look at the very real impacts of this. So that's what I wanted to throw a red flag up on this. This is not fear tactics. This is the reality. And there's a shift. These are not tax cuts. These are tax shifts to the local government from the state and from the feds. And if I had to put anything, it's really not funny, but shift happens, and it appears it's going to be happening to us if this it's bad legislation. It might look good to say we cut taxes, but you did not. You shifted taxes to the county and to the local communities, and we're the ones that are going to have to figure out how to keep services at this level for our citizens and go on in the day-to-day operations. So this is this is important enough that I wanted you to see it when I started figuring out what was happening here.
Well, this is on the additional homestead exemption, right?
This is the additional, if it passes.
And it won't be voted on until 2018 and go into effect in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So these are things that the point I think that is on this is people need to know before they get out and start voting for this.
Exactly.
I'm going to do my own amendment, and I'm going to go and say we need to have it where you pay on the first 75 and then you get 75. And I'm going to get that circulated, and I bet that would pass before this other one does.
Do you want me to run your campaign for state representative or senator?
I mean, that's where it needs to be, because they've already shifted $8 billion worth in the first 25 that they've shifted. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. I voted against it in '94. I was one of the 44% who voted against it. Having said that, if it had been under today's, it wouldn't have passed because they had to get 60. And so I'm hopeful that this doesn't pass, that people realize that somebody's going to have to pay it. And then somebody gave me the numbers that one of the cities is like 70% of the
Their homestead, yeah.
Yeah. The real estate value is 70% of it are 100,000 or less.
They won't recover.
They won't recover. It'd be devastating. So these are things that people need to understand. We need to get our friends in the media, newspapers and so forth, explaining that you're going to be hit with more in taxes if it happens.
Think of the cities that have just a high number of residential homes as opposed to, pretty mix of commercial. Deltona being an example, it would really kill them, to kill their budget.
Yeah. We might have to adopt Deltona.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you for that, Deb. Is that it? Or do you, I'm sorry. Okay. Dr. Lowry.
Oh, thank you. I just want to say a couple words in regard to encouragement to our council people and asking a favor. I think we're at a other than this revenue aspect, I think the county is really at a good place. I think the news today on the Hard Rock was really, really exciting news, and there's many other things as well. But I think we need to be really careful when we're outside this dais of expressing support for things. And I was really surprised when I read the newspaper, and I'm hoping maybe there was not complete accuracy there, that some had already committed to supporting that particular move. And then I was actually flabbergasted to see that some were going to allocate money for operating funds, which has totally contrary to the position this council's taken up to this point. And I say that because I thought in the last meeting we were really clear that unless we had a contract, unless the City of Daytona came in, presented a program, told us exactly what they were going to do, then we would look at that and make a vote, because a faith rally doesn't hold the same weight as the City of Daytona coming in here and making a presentation with a contract. And I thought we were really pretty crystal on that, and we even had a chance to look at each other to see, and if there was any problem with that, that's when that should have been expressed. And the same thing on the operating cost. And the reason I say that is because we're going to open up Pandora's box of problems for all of us if we don't be careful at these meetings of making commitments that really need to be made in this room. It will cause, it's already caused problems to some degree, because I thought DeLand's project was stellar. My hats, all hats that I own, are off to DeLand, the City of DeLand, and the project for homeless that they put forward. They got, and I want to compliment the faith group too, because they've already brought the private groups together, which is part of the equation of solving the homeless problem. So they've done a good job there. But DeLand has already put that together, and they're out recruiting monies for operating costs. My City of Deltona has put $50,000 annually toward that. That's a big step for Deltona. And when I was at the commission meeting Monday, they were asking me, well, wait a minute, is the county now going to cover operating costs from what they read? So they're confused. Do we need to withdraw that? The City of DeLand, people that they're asking money for, are now confused. What do we do? So I'm just saying, if we don't stick together that way, and we start going out at separate things and saying, well, I'm going to support this, and I'll even give this and that, what will happen is we'll be out there individually. We're going to get attacked individually. We'll be recruited individually, and that'll be a pain in the neck that none of us really want to experience. So I just want to encourage you all to be really, really careful of that, because for me, we had made the position, we'll say the old council, we were not going to give anything to operating costs. Now we have a new council. Maybe that wants to change, but come in here and convince me of that. I'm a pretty reasonable person to listen. Convince me of that before we go out in public and start saying things. So I just want to be encouragement there. I'm not trying to badger anybody, but I read in the paper, I thought, oh, you got to be kidding me. Especially with the operating costs, because we had been very crystal on that. And what will happen is it will cause confusion. It'll cause dysfunction. It'll cause us to be approached individually and pressured individually, and I don't think any of us really want that. So, it actually, it is. So I just wanted to say that. I'm trying to be encouraging, because I think if we don't be careful, somebody said if you don't stick together, you'll hang separately. And, honestly, this will cause a great problem. So I just want to be encouragement there for us to be very careful. We officially do things here at this dais. And I'm looking forward to Daytona Beach coming in and making their presentation of what they want to do. I want to hear that. And I have some reservations about some of the things. I'm not sure how we're going to get people out there and back. That's one thing I have a reservation about, but won't get into the details of that at this point. So anyway, folks, let's please really be careful when we're out in public to say, I endorse this or I support that, because in a sense, yeah, we represent our district, but we represent everybody up here too. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
While you're on that, let me just add, if I may add to that, that Mayor Henry has requested to be on the 20th program to bring us everything, because I don't think any one of us up here, and even Joyce, who's not here, know exactly where they are, what they have, and before I can say yes or no personally, I've got to know everything about
What they
it.
present may be really a lot different.
Than what
was
we're
presented last week, and then you've painted yourself in a corner.
exactly.
Yeah.
So let's, if it's okay.
Does he have a contract?
He does not have a contract.
What's he presenting?
He's presenting where they are with the program and where they are at this point. And
Will there be no vote?
I didn't say that. It could be.
If there's no contract, there's no vote.
Yeah, it can't be.
No
Well, that's-
contract, no vote.
Well, that's
No contract, no vote. That's my position. That's not going to change.
okay. Well, I'm asking, he had asked me, I think we owe him the courtesy to see what it is before we say no. And if we had maybe more of an open attitude, let's see exactly. If any of you know everything about it, share it with us, because I don't.
The presentation, I'm okay with.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too.
I'm okay with the presentation.
Please use your microphone.
I thought I was. Oh, sorry.
I'm okay with the presentation, but what
Okay.
I'm saying is if there's no contract, I will, we just laid out this hit that could be coming. I am not going to commit to something that's not in writing and no contract.
Okay.
I won't
Well,
do it.
let's see what it is that he presents. Okay? Thank you. And we'll move.
I'm done.
Okay. Mr. Patterson.
No contract, no vote. Been having some calls from folks that live around the Victoria Park area.
No. I didn't get him one.
Huh?
Sorry.
Yeah,
Sarcasm.
this new development that the Coulter Company is doing, and I've been trying to figure out a way. Originally, they were going to run a road right through a private road as an evacuation route until they found out through the county. I don't want to thank staff for helping me out with that they couldn't go through there, but they're really piling up the dirt over there, and everybody's they're kind of concerned that there's going to be flooding back on their property, the people that are on the county side. This is the county side of the people are the ones that are really concerned about it. And then they've cut all the trees down, so there's no, they're talking about putting some plants in there. Is there some way we can get the city to kind of get people to be happy about what's going on? Because they're really concerned. They'd like to see a fence between themselves and Victoria Park, but I mean, there's no way that unless they built the fence, they'd like the city to require that. I don't think they can do that either. I'm just trying to keep a big war from happening over there. That Victoria Park is getting bigger and bigger, and all the things that the current folks in Victoria Park are screaming about with the auto mall out there that we haven't dealt with yet, but is what they did is, I mean, they really destroyed the whole conservation area out there, and they're saying that the auto mall is going to destroy the conservation area, where they've done a lot more damage over in that area to the environment, as far as I'm concerned. But the people that live on the county side is pretty much of a natural area, and they're just seeing these houses springing up like crazy. I don't know, I'm probably just kind of spitting in the wind here. But
Well, we'll get our staff, we'll get with the city staff and see if we can arrange a meeting with the developer and maybe, like you say, what we can do to help out the folks in the neighborhood adjoining the city development.
There's no buffer. That's pretty much with everything that's been just mowed down over there when you look at it, where
Okay.
Rockingham and War Admiral are.
Okay.
On that. So, just a little bit of a legislative update. I was in Tallahassee, and we've got $5 million in funding in the Senate side for the airport infrastructure project. We'd asked for 10. So that puts us in the hunt. As it goes through, that House may put a little bit of money in there or whatever, and then it'll go to conference, and then they'll come up with something. But 5 million's a good number. Senator Latvala is really helping us out on that. Also, on the Williamson Road project, we've got 3 million in there right now, but it's a long way from the 13 million that's needed for that project. But that is one project that really, really needs to be done. Recently, I saw the backup traffic that was having to be rerouted off of I-95, and that Williamson Road is our evacuation or is an alternate route when we do have problems on I-95. So we've really got to be looking at that project, as well as State Road 44. Not that because it's out where I live, but the traffic out there is brutal, and on Martin Luther King and Orange Camp Road. So,
Pat, can I ask you a question on that, on the Williamson extension?
Do what?
Is it, because I just recently come back on TPO, is it on the TPO? Isn't it on there as one of the items, and wasn't that one reason that they said they didn't get it last year?
It was, no, I think Mr. Britton could probably answer the question.
Because
I hate to put that on him, but
I'm sorry to ask,
this has been going on for some time because, we got a project that is pretty much shovel ready, correct?
Well, the governor pulled it, didn't he, from the last year?
He vetoed it.
Vetoed it.
Yeah, Jerry Brenton, county engineer. Mr. Patterson's right. I think we had requested 13 million for that. This is Williamson widening 2 lanes to 4 lanes from LPGA up to Hand Avenue, just north of all the Tanger development and all. Design plans are complete. We've got environmental permits in hand, but we permitted it based upon a pond on private property that we did not buy. So we still have a retention pond site that we do not own. So in that 13 million is right-of-way and construction. And we were asked to look at, realizing I think we got 2 million or 2.5 2 years ago, and we were kind of thankful the governor vetoed it because you can't do much with $2.5 million. So we had estimated, I believe, 5 million was absolutely the minimum for us to be able to do a portion of it. It's not a long section. And by the time you widen to 4 lanes and you taper all down, this section has a tremendous system of underground stormwater pipes. And a lot of that 13 million is going to underground. The public wouldn't see anything. So you got to have this stormwater system in place, and that's why we looked at it and said that it's really about 5 or 6 million that minimum. Don't do us a favor and only give us 3 million, because we would be in a real dilemma of trying to put together a meaningful project with that. And it is, excuse me, the question really was, it is on the TPO's plan. It was always identified as going to be a county project, so that it's not on a list, slated for federal funding or.
That would just up the price double if it was, probably, if it got federal funding.
One of the problems is, and this is on the House of Representatives side, they are pushing for no reoccurring funds on any project. So if you get a one-shot deal, from what I'm hearing, or reoccurring appropriations. So, and I don't know how that applies to this type of project. More or less to other types of events or.
On the House side.
Yeah, on the House side, but I mean that still would have to be negotiated with the Senate. So, it's going to be a challenge depending on what the Senate does, and the House side, what they come up with.
It sounds like we're going to have to take care of our own almost, some way or another.
Well, one of the things that I was thinking about, and I mentioned this to Lois Bolenbach, is the possibility, since and this is not a criticism of maybe it is, but Of the roundtable group, because it doesn't seem like anything's going on this half-cent or 1 cent sales tax, is maybe for the TPO to take up a discussion on just projects that, and have membership from the TPO or whatever working on that. And I thought about it, and I suggested to Lois that I thought the best person to be heading that up for the TPO would be the chair of the county council, but not get into the actual allocation of money, but just getting into what kind of projects are needed so the community knows where we're going, and then let the roundtable maybe deal with the allocations of it. I don't.
Those projects, if you want to come up and see them after this meeting is over, because I'll start presenting those next week.
At the roundtable?
No, well, not that. The Eggs and Issues and 2 other places to the public to show them.
But this is all countywide?
Countywide. And I've already got the maps prepared. And cities too, county, cities.
Okay.
And we start.
See, we've been under the impression that nothing has been really come forward.
Well, and sorry.
Who's been working on it?
Bob Apgar and myself for 2 on the roundtable. I'm presenting to the roundtable as well. And basically what we want to still continue to do, we've been gathering it from the county managements. They're the ones that it comes from, the projects. But we're going to take this out and let people add to that the various projects. I met last week with Jerry, and so I've been working on this to develop it from under the, not under the county, but under the roundtable. So we have been working.
If I can add, Mr.
Did
Chair.
you have the council have an update
No,
before it
no,
goes
well,
everywhere
it's-
else?
I don't want to get ahead.
It's not going out yet.
Now, here's what's doing. Everyone knows around in the county that this discussion went on, and it's gone on about the cities working with the county to develop this overall plan. We're in the process together with the cities of doing that. What the chair's talking about is we've just started to do that in terms of putting together this draft. As we finish this draft up, I was hoping we'd still do it by tomorrow, is give out the first draft to the county council. This is the project that's been ongoing with the cities to try and put together a package. So what he's talking about, he's sort of anticipating that we'll have this, but it's going to come to all the council members. I was hoping we would have the draft by Friday to be able to give to everybody.
And this is all the 16 cities and the unincorporated area,
Yes.
everything, correct?
Yeah. And what the idea is to find out, just like you said, Mr. Patterson, are the needs, where are the needs? And I brought up 44 and what's that major bottleneck? Kepler. I mean, we've got issues all over, but I think the public needs to be aware of it, and that's what I'm planning to do, is to take the show on the road to see if there's a need, find out additional needs, and then we can proceed forward to see how we do the funding, whether we can, whatever way we can do, use the funding. The funding is secondary to finding out the needs. And if we establish those needs, we've been working, I've been working on it as the roundtable.
But as you know, in the council, so we're real clear, that cities were asked to put this together, and what we've been doing as managers is it's all still draft. We've been waiting for all their material to put it together so that it was one project from all of us. It has not been finalized. That's why no one has it. As soon as it gets the draft gets finalized, you'll get it at the same time that the chair gets it. Right. So I just make sure there is nothing gone out yet.
It's not final.
And the other thing is, the cities are the ones, and what happened is that Mike Ployce and Bobby Apgar have been focused on being the coordinating parties for the city together with Tracy Barlow from Edgewater. Okay, and so you'll all get the draft at the same time. I was hoping we'd have actually something as a draft for you this Friday, and that's still my goal. Okay. And that's what the chair's talking about.
It's not.
That was just something that I had a discussion with Lois Bolenbach on Tuesday, or no, I'm sorry, on Wednesday. So this is just something that popped up because I really haven't heard anything. You know, but I don't go to the roundtable meetings, but I've just been concerned that nothing seemed to be happening, nothing seemed to be going on, so that's why I came up with that thought and talked to Lois about it, and she said, yeah, let's, so she didn't even know anything was going on.
I think she did. No? I think she did.
She would have told me.
She did. But anyway, it's not a negative surprise. It should be a pleasant surprise that we're moving forward trying to get...
I'm glad. No, I'm glad because this saves a lot of time.
Yes.
Saves a lot of time. And you can get into the really crazy stuff, which is going to be the allocation.
Well, the allocation will be that everyone will, and that's, we've got to worry about, first of all, establishing all of the areas that need fixing. Then you establish what method of funding for those and the ranking of the areas to be done. And everyone will get something because everyone has needs. I mean, this Williamson thing is nuts. And we can each point out in your area, 44, that's why I've brought up several council meetings. State Road 44 is an issue. And we know that in New Smyrna and otherwise. So I hope this is good news that we're moving.
Are you looking at, excuse me, are you going to, you're not doing projections, you're just doing projects?
Projects.
So has there been any discussion if it's a half cent or full cent?
Not discussing. We want to establish that first because to successfully get something done, you have to know what it is you're doing, and then you know what it's going to be to funding. People keep asking, they've been asking, was it a half a cent? Is it 1 cent? We don't know. Let's establish the need first, then try to find the funding mechanism. That way we have a better chance of passing it.
One clarification, I think, because we've always had this issue about, which sometimes gets in the way of dividing up the pie before you even have a pie. So rather than that, and this came out of the discussion from Roundtable, and that's how the managers got involved, was to put together a comprehensive map or plan and let the plan drive, one, I think, how much money, but also you allocate the money based on the plan, not specific allocations to cities. And I think they all agree that that's the only way you'd come to a conclusion where everybody could agree. So you would let the nature of the projects drive which ones got funded.
See, that's the thing. It's kind of like the river with the Indian River Lagoon. The river doesn't stop at Brevard-Volusia line. The roads don't start and stop in one city or the connectors.
Right.
It's,
in fact,
the regional approach, and that's going to be the success.
In fact, the comment we made, I know from our standpoint, and I talked to the chair about this, is people said, well, what's the county want? We're not picking anything on it. We're saying put the map together. Trust me, most of these roads are county roads. So whatever the best roads are to need fixed, that's what should happen. That's what should take place. And I think all the cities have finally come to the conclusion, because this is what undermined the original attempt to do this. They start wanting to divide up money. And so this second approach was forget that, just do a mass plan. Right, Mr. Chair?
Right. And that way then you have the projects themselves will be the determining factor of which ones go, but everyone will get something from their projects because we will create a mechanism to fund to make sure that they're funded. And it's a culmination of about 3 years of work, 2 years on the round table to get the cities and the county to work together collectively to establish the project. And I think it will be good for everybody because, like you said, whether it's in the county or the city, doesn't mean if you live in District 2, you don't go to District 4. Right. So it's going to be good. We're working together, and that's what it's going to take to get it going, just like whether it's within our county with the 16 cities and the unincorporated or regionally with 4 of the counties. It's the same principle. So sorry to interject, but
no, that's
glad. So we're moving.
I'm happy.
We're moving.
I wish I'd known. I wouldn't have... it just happened to blow into my little pea-brain on Wednesday.
Well, did you congratulate the new chair of TPO?
Not till July.
To be.
Not till July.
To be. I know you have some. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Pat.
No, I'm fine.
You done? No.
I'm done.
No, you're not done.
Sure I am.
Okay. We'll move on to Ms. Post.
So is it going to be you're going to bring this up at the roundtable discussion on Monday
Yes.
or at Eggs and Issues? which is
At the
how I
round
guess-
table, basically, it's going to be preliminarily what we have come up with. The cities, all the cities, I don't think have completed everything, but it's to urge them to
Right.
get their projects in.
Okay, I was
And
just
then
making sure it was going to be brought up this Monday.
What I
Uh,
envision happening is to create things that will be put up on websites. I've envisioned interactive areas, so a person can say, well, what about anything in Edgewater? And you hit a button, and it shows everything in Edgewater, or in Deltona, or wherever the location it may be. We can do it by district or whatever. It's going to be a show that you,
Nice.
there they are. We've got different lines for different things. This isn't, huh? It is going to be.
Yeah.
Ms. Post, so that like you and the council, that's why we planned on trying to get the draft that Mr. Kelly's talking about to the council members, so you all get at the same time. We're going to give it out tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's still a draft, and even the eggs and issues was probably the first shot, and actually it's, Mayor Kelly got invited, and also Bob Apcar, sort of the county city. But I think the big change, like I said, is it's all about a map of roads and needs and not of allocation of money.
Right. And that's where the focus should be. And I'm glad that you brought up the Williamson need for sure, and there are others. And 44, like, I know I've been stuck on it, and somebody else was stuck on it this morning. Billy, go ahead, sorry.
Okay. I wanted to comment on the homeless issue just very shortly, but as Councilman Lowry pointed out, I actually thank you for pointing that out. And duly noted. So, you know, we definitely want to give a show of, you know, that we're all working together and certainly not working against each other. So I do thank you for bringing that up, and I have definitely taken note of that. I do want to say, though, the bottom line with me is just that I'm committed to coming to a resolution, the best resolution, but committed to coming to a resolution. And that's all I'll say about the homeless issue. I'd also like to say I'm a member of the Public Safety Council, or I've been appointed to the Public Safety Council Committee, and they have recently done their assessment for reaccreditation for pretrial services, and I wanted to be sure to point that out and let the public know that that is going on. Accreditation, for those of you who know about accreditation, is a very, very extensive process, and I'm very proud of our pretrial services for going through that. I think this is the third time that they've gone through it, so they are in the middle of that, and very proud of our court system. I also wanted to bring up the opening of the Micaplex, or the grand opening of the Micaplex event that happened since our last meeting, and I'm pretty sure everybody was in attendance, but I know a lot of us were in attendance, and Chair Kelly spoke, and just super excited about having the research park come and having that as part of our economic development strategic planning for the area. So very excited about that. And finally, I'd like to say, since we're not meeting before Easter, Happy Easter, everyone. All right.
And the eggs you received are from me, not Fred. Just saying. Ms. Wheeler, did you get your
No.
eggs?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Several comments duly noted also for the homeless. I did what I've done for the last 5 years, and the comment should have come here first, and I duly note that. And sometimes everything in the newspaper or printed is not always exactly as you see, as we all know. I am 100% committed to doing something, and I think all of us are. As a team, we all are. Ms. Dennings, I really am supportive of the beach initiative, the group that we're looking at possibly putting together for. Sometimes it's the insiders that can see things that all of us that are out here with the big things, we can't see the internal things. And I just think this is nothing but a positive action for an area that right now is getting so much attention, and it is definitely moving forward. The ISB, the East Side ISB corridor, is under heavy discussion. We've got some real projects going on, and we've got to get this moving. We've just, as Ms. Denny said several commissions ago, you know, we do a lot of talking and we have a lot of planning, but let's get the action, you know. And I think this is internally, these are going to hopefully be people that will come up with good ideas that we haven't thought about that we can maybe act on. The next thing I want to talk about, I spoke last week at the military officers group, and one of the things that they brought up to me, Pierre brought up about that since Josh had gone off the council, that they had kind of lost the push for the Veterans Memorial Plaza, which is at the base, and that they were wanting to do whatever they could, and that they were going to do a GoFundMe account. It is the county's, and Josh had been kind of the leader in it, and there was no formal committee. And I spoke with staff about it, but I also called Josh to ask him if he still wanted to work on that, and he said yes. And so if everybody's okay with it, Josh and I've got some real plans. We've already talked several times, and we've got a meeting on Monday to get this, get contributions going. I've passed around to everybody. This is a form that when it is approved, this is a preliminary. And Joanne, thank you so much for all your help with this. And also Jeff, he's been very helpful. I've gone to several veterans meetings, and they are so on board to do whatever they can. Josh and I are looking at purchase a brick program also. So that, if we get this moved, and I think probably we'll know by next week if that's going to happen, this will also be put on here. So I'm going to really encourage every city, every council person to, when this is finalized, that we promote and encourage. This is going to be another thing for people to come and see, and it just like our bridge. And this needs to happen. We have so many veterans, and you know, if people start, I've already got some contributions ready to go, some larger ones, and we are going to be speaking with Embry-Riddle. And so we've got that appointment set up. So we are acting on this, and we want to get it done. So when that bridge is done, this is done also. And I think it's going to be just another asset for Volusia County. I'm really excited about it. Again, Joanne, thank you so much. I've called you so much, and staff for providing any information. But Josh is wanting to work with me, so we're going great guns. Hopefully I have all of your support on that.
Do we need a committee? Do we need an official committee for this for you?
We didn't, no.
I'm asking manager.
Oh, I'm sorry. They didn't before.
Do we need, is that
Well,
necessary?
I don't think it's necessary. I think it depends on what the council person wants to do.
How about if I get back with you?
Why don't you think about that?
Yeah.
Talk to Josh, because you could be co-committee chairs on this.
Yeah, we've had people that have already told him that they, you know, prior to me getting involved in this, that wanted to be involved. So
Think about it. If that's what you want to do, bring it back to council and.
Absolutely.
we can
Well,
help
I think anybody, you know, can help with this. This is going to take all of us pushing it with our communities and passing out flyers. We have a lot of memorial things coming up recently. You know, we need to be at those areas with this flyer. That's a great way to grab them all. Thank you.
Just a couple of quick things. Tonight I'm participating in a town hall meeting put on by the News Journal. It's to discuss the core area of Daytona, which the timing couldn't be any better with the ISB, East ISB, and where they're going with that. Following up, as Mr. Patterson mentioned, the articles, the 5 articles in the paper daily showing what the needs were, and then as Dr. Lowry pointed out, the good news of Hard Rock. I mean, that's just fantastic. I think that hotel or that concept will help some of those that have been against it on the beach side realize that maybe it's okay to do that. Maybe the Westin carried a name that's a moniker that was different from what they would expect to be there. But a Hard Rock, I mean, maybe they'll say, well, hey, that's pretty good. That's something that's affordable that people can go and attract people. But it is also a 4-star, quote, brand for those that are keeping up with the stars or the whatever else they go by. I'm excited. That's going to be fantastic. The meeting tonight is also going to touch on CRAs. I have information I'm going to present on that as well, whether they're used properly or not. And happy Easter. Each of you received the egg, which I'd already noted. Thank you for agreeing to hear what Mayor Henry is going to show. And I'm going to throw this out now for future consideration. Participating with the Volusia League of Cities, I will pay half of it personally if we can get the county to pay the other part for a year's membership. I think it's that important as we're working together that I'm willing to put my money up for half of it and just throw it out there. And I know you voted against it in the past, but maybe next meeting you can come back and say, well, let's look at it. Okay? Anything else?
Can you say the date or we know the date, it's tonight, the town hall meeting, but the place and the time?
It's at the corner of, it was in the paper this morning. He gave me the corner of Grandview, and it's the Community Methodist Church. It's in the paper.
Okay. But what time?
I asked him at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
And the other thing is the state of the county will be before we have the next meeting. And I hope we all have our parts down. Ready for it? Yeah. Are we ready for it, Jim? The state of the county?
You betcha.
Mr. Deneen.
The only comment that I have is two. One is that next meeting will be the one that starts at 10 o'clock. That's our new experiment. Okay. And George has a comment about a handout that he's going to give you.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it to some of you. I'm going to hand out the 2015 water control or water quality plan that was mentioned earlier today, so that everyone who's new can take a look at that, because we'll be doing the update in May off of that base document, and we'll show where we're at, and we'll be probably seeking direction on where we want to go. So I'll hand that out. We have that here today, and I'll hand that out. One last thing I was going to mention, that Ms. Denny's just mentioned it briefly about the district office move proposal. That is for FDOT. Yeah, that just came out. I think the DPO just put it out during this meeting. That could have devastating consequences. You're talking about, and they want to move the district to Polk County, the district office. So it's not like the folks here that work and live in this area would be commuting. They would probably be moving. So you're talking about engineering jobs, right-of-way acquisition positions, scientific jobs. That building down there is not that old here in the south end of the land, but it employs a large professional staff, and then there's also a connection in that all the feeder engineering companies that work and do work for the department, that have offices here in the county or even in just to the south of us. We get the benefit of having them near us, so we get better pricing when we're doing our projects as well. So I think we should the council should strongly consider opposing that move. So I'd like at least permission to pursue it with our lobbyist and with our folks, Arlene and right now in Tallahassee. So
everybody's good to go to try to.
I'm on board.
I can't imagine what they do with that building.
What's state money, they probably don't really worry about it, do they?
No, not that bunch up there right now.
That's what I'm saying.
I just find that just to vacate an empty building, I don't know what the heck they'd put in there.
Yeah, there's another county affected also. I see something they're moving down in the Lee County area also. So it looks to me like they may be trying to move to centralize themselves more between Tampa and Orlando, kind of leaving us off on the end down here. So, but like I say, we're not, and really we're in the dark as exactly what would move and what would happen, but in the lack of information, I would oppose any change.
Are you going to move it to Bartow or Lakeland?
It just says Polk County.
Go
The
get 'em,
seat-
George.
Seat is Bartow.
That's correct.
Go get them. I said, go get them.
Well, I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, what else can you say? Go get
Well,
what?
I'll take that as ridiculous to the bank, and we'll move with that.
Mr. Eckert?
No.
Jamie? Well, Jamie's not here. Jamie disappeared. Anyone else? Huh? Charles was hiding. I said, anyone else? Is that it? We get to adjourn at 11:53. You did good. We're out of here.